ESL PUBG Masters. Here we go. Drum roll, please.
Summer has arrived.
The Virtus Pro can do. Down they go.
And the battlegrounds are heating up.
Nancy finding one, finding two. Nice shots, finding three.
Find it down on the fall. He's just going to try to hide yellow. The guys are already on the flames. And getting down there. We have more damage.
Europe's best fight for supremacy and vital PGC points.
Well, there we go.
1 versus 1.
Oh.
The SLR finds the face.
It's time, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Professor Kalaris here to break everything down for you and be the host of the final day for the tournament here for the ESL PUBG Masters Summer. A warm welcome. It's warm here as well as we're ready to get into our last 6 games and crown a champion. But it's not just me here for this. We have ourselves Mr. Rich Sims and Martin. Oh, that's the one, right? Is that how you
Nice
just pronounce
try.
it with a cough? No, I didn't know.
You would think that when you're a professor, you'd be able to have, simple linguistics, but you're incapable of that, so that's completely fine. But yeah.
You're totally right. You're totally right. I am absolutely useless when it comes to that. But nice to have you here, Martin. How's everything going?
It's going absolutely fantastic. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to see who's going to wrap up here at ESL Masters Summer. Of course, we've had some absolutely crazy games, and yesterday some not some upsets, some kind of the same old usual stuff. VP dominating, but DA coming in and showing some really good consistency, and they could potentially contest them for week number 2.
Yeah, yesterday was absolutely nuts for 2 teams in particular, of course. Rich, how about yourself? Looking forward to finishing things off?
Yeah, it should be good. We've seen some interesting matches thus far. It's given us a weird and wonderful week, and we've got a few differences that we have to kind of go through, and all these potential outcomes. Who's going to be claiming victory? How does it leave? How does it leave people where they're going to be standing? I'm more intrigued how we've all gone and opted for different shades of blue. Is the interesting one, and this is completely. Me and Martin just kind of need swapping around, and then we have the light to dark kind of thing.
It'd be nice that.
It would have been quite cool.
Maybe production could do that, and then wow, it'd be amazing. But anyway, no. Let's talk about what's actually going on here when it comes to the tournament format as a whole, because of course we have gone through many stages to actually get to this point. We did our qualifiers years and years ago. No, it was just a little bit of time ago. And then we went to the upper bracket as well as the lower bracket, and 8 teams qualified into the grand finals from each of those respective brackets. Now we find ourselves in the grand finals. Last weekend we had our first grand finals weekend go down, and we saw question mark prevail in the number 1 spot, and then now we found ourselves in week 2, where so far so good for 2 teams in particular, Martin. As you were mentioning before, Virtus Pro and Digital Athletics looked absolutely amazing yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was all about those 2 teams, and also the prospect of Virtus Pro potentially having been able to win maybe 3, even 4 games would have been absolutely insane, right?
Yeah.
I'm just happy they kind of kept us on the edge here of our seats, because if they had already won 3 yesterday, that would just have been disgusting, and we could already we would just come here to announce the winner. Yeah, we would just come. It's kind of disgusting considering they're also in the lead for the total of the total amount of PGC points won so far. So yeah, it's looking like it's kind of good for some of the teams that are not able to maybe make it to all 4 events that is awarding the PGC points, because it's being very top heavy. They're sponging up a lot of the big points that is given out, so the bar that's going to be set to be able to enter PGC from our region is going to be quite lower, so that's going to be interesting. And we'll see if they're going to be able to close it out today. One more win, and it's going to be very, very hard for anyone to catch them.
Yeah, just give me that Virtus Pro Sonics showdown. I think when it comes to PGC, that'd be very nice. If Sonics could get a win on the board over in America, of course, in the current tournament. I'm just teasing. Look, I've got their color on. It's fine. All right, let's move on. We've got prize pool coming up as well here. It's a rough format sometimes. We've got last week's grand final prize pool, of course, which was awarded. We saw question mark take themselves $5,000. And in week 2 here, now we focus on that. First place will be $7,000, and of course we have our special prizes. If you become first as well during the whole tournament, you'll get yourself an extra $10,000 on the board. And right now, Rich, it is fair to say I don't know if any other teams here are going to contest Virtus Pro and Digital Athletics for that first prize this week.
it would mean a monumental failure on their side. It's quite weird when you look at the standings, like from on a picture perspective, if you wasn't watching it, like how they were so similar against one another and knocking on each other's door time and time again. It was round number 4 where they both came, I think it was 14th and like 6th or 7th for DA, respectively. Yeah. But apart from that, like 5 out of the 6 games, they had top 4 finishes every single time. And that is, it's unheard of. It really is unprecedented. And to be able to go on a run like that really does set yourself up for success. You look at it in terms of another win on the board for DA, and they're up there with VP. They're only behind them by 2 kills. And if the consistency stays there between these 2 teams fighting one another, or at least been in the Final 4 with one another, then in theory, DA have a good chance to overtake that mark should they get the win on the board. The bigger thing for me in all of this is how, while we're ranking up the money, there is, and it's only $2,000, but still, there is a bigger amount for first place this weekend compared to last weekend.
Yes.
And I'm really intrigued to see if that, quote-unquote, mere $2,000 has any effect on this final standing. Like, would it have changed something if it would have just been 5 and 5? Would it have been the same if it was 7 and 7? Like, I'm really intrigued to see how this one goes down, because it's not often we see this. Like, we could have expected maybe $6,000 and $6,000, you know, respectively, the same prize pool and same first place for each one. But it's not. There's additional going into week number 2, and I don't know. It'd just be interesting to see what kind of ramification it has this week.
I mean, we've theorized the numbers before coming on here. Of course, that 750 that Virtus Pro walked away with last weekend could be a big difference maker if they get first place. And the only way then, Martin, that quick question mark would be able to actually count. I almost did it.
I did it earlier on.
Would be able to get themselves first place will be if they got second place, and that's the only situation. But anyway, let's take a look at the overall standings here. So far, so good for our top 2 teams that we've already spoken about. Most importantly, Martin, question mark did get a win on the board yesterday, and this roster's been pretty damn good throughout the last couple of days.
Yeah, there's no denying the possibility that question mark could also just go in and win 2 today, and Virtus Pro not getting anything, and they'll just completely dominate the whole tournament here. But yeah, it's everything's still open. If any of the teams that so far have not had a good performance, and the other teams, you know, even question mark Virtus Pro, some of these teams, if question mark get if we have a new winner and question mark gets a top 2 finish outside the win, of course, they're going to be sitting pretty happy. But the winner of this week can potentially take the whole thing home. Even one of the new teams, even one of the teams that haven't won a game yet, if they're able to close it out today. So it's still pretty open, but still it's looking very good for Virtus Pro going into the last 6 games of today.
Absolutely so. And looking at how things have shaped up, once again, Rich, you've got Team Liquid sat on 42 kills. Now, bear in mind, they were effectively kill leaders last weekend alongside, I think it was tied for 70 kills apiece between the 2 teams that they were tied with. And the fact that Liquid, once again, is all guns blazing, but hasn't quite found that chicken dinner just yet, I think still kind of bodes well for them, considering how much fragging power they're bringing to the table.
It shows that you can never just put these boys down. You can never count them out of any fight, any scenario. The survivability and individual prowess is just ridiculous. Like, you look at some of the players that are on that roster, one of them in particular, well, I mean, it kind of makes me laugh because everyone plays their role really individually on that team, and everyone plays it so damn well. You look at Mexi, and the big brain players we've been speaking about. You look at Clip, like, the man is an absolute machine. It feels a bit disheartening because when you look at their current standing, I know it's in 6th and it's certainly up there in the top half of the board, but certainly for the wins just don't seem to get there. They find themselves within these fights, and whether or not it comes down to them just unfortunate rotates, they're still kind of playing the old meta, you know. I know there's not really a meta, so to speak, quote unquote, but still going for these fights every single. It's good to be able to frag out, and it's good to be able to have those points in the bag, but ultimately they are an aggressive team. They don't mind taking a fight. They are one of the best when, if they see a third party that they can happily just join in and clean it up, they'll do it every single time. They are phenomenally powerful, and they are phenomenally good at it. But the unfortunate thing is these early fights do cost them bodies. And when you look at some of the other teams, when they're taking it to the Final 4, the Final 5, they have a lot of players in play. They have a lot of players that they can expend in those final fights. And unfortunately for Liquid, it's earlier scuffles before we get to that end game that cost them.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, even when we look at some of the fights on the top of Everest, for example, from yesterday, that kind of eventually kind of devolves down because they're in the middle of all of the chaos. But, you know, sometimes these things happen. We have got ourselves 3 Miramars and 3 Erangels for today to round out the tournament as it stands. 50 seconds out, Martin. Any teams you're looking out for in particular today to spring up or do well?
You can't deny the possibility of VP wanting to close it out here. And Miramar, consistency yesterday, 2 wins out of 3, 3rd place as well for that. So if they're able to close it out, I would expect it to be on Miramar today here to start with.
Yeah, I mean, if they get 1 win here, if 1 win on Miramar would set them far and away ahead of the pack, and it makes it almost impossible for these teams to catch up unless they have a miraculous start to all of this. I do see that the timer has reset, so we'll just wait for a little bit more before we actually get on into this game. Another team, Rich, is FaZe actually doing a lot with their fragging power once again. And you know, you mentioned your clips, who personally I think is the most powerful fragger in Europe, hands down for me at least. But you know, FaZe has got those guys on the roster, and you're seeing it once again in these kills.
Yeah, it kind of goes synonymous and hand in hand with what we're speaking about with Liquid. There's no denying the individual performances. There's no denying the individual players.
Yeah.
It's just what they're used to versus kind of... If we think back of how VP used to play, 16, 18 months ago, they'd like to be a little bit slow. They'd like to come in towards the late game. They'd mop up every single player on the board, and they'd you know, at least certainly get to that top area and those much needed points. This has kind of favored them. The way that they work the map, the way that they read the map is unlike any other team. You'll always see 1 or 2 of them just off on their own, scouting, even hanging back just to guide what's going on and orchestrate fights from a distance and feed information. They live off this info. They live off hearing for fights, hearing for where people are looking, for where people are going to be setting up shop. Their movement is phenomenal. It really is, and it's kind of unmatched at the moment. They're doing it so much better compared to anybody else. They don't go for those early fights. They don't go for those wild early rotations unless there's, you know, something central they can take control of. Then it'd be stupid not to, which is it's totally fine. But yeah, they've been kind of playing this not too dissimilar game for quite some time now. But given this format, given that it's all about wins and not about frags anymore, frags playing a part, of course, but certainly it's not the be-all and end-all game. It's really benefited them. It goes hand in hand with how they like to play, and ultimately they're just riding away with it.
All right, well, without further ado, we're moving into our first Miramar of the day. Let's see if Martin's thoughts, his musings will come true. Will VP finish the tournament early, effectively, as we figure things out for our next 6 games? Martin, Rich, take it away.
Thank you so much, James. Yes, indeed, we start the grand final. 6 matches, Martin, and I think it's safe to say we've got to call it for what it is here. Virtus Pro excels on Miramar. If they want to win this competition, these next 3 games are absolutely vital to get some wins on the board and really stamp their name on this tournament.
Yeah, and if they're able to do so, like, it's going to be so hard for the other teams to take the win away from them. But still, 2nd, 3rd, 4th place is also super important. There's a lot of PGC points on the board for that as well. I believe it's 180. Yeah, it's 180 for 2nd, 145, and 120 for 4th place. So there's still a lot of points on the board that you want to close out. And on top of that, of course, the prize pool, that is extremely important. But yeah, the consistency that the Virtus Pro has shown, and recently as well, their form in general has just been unparalleled right now, Rich. It's kind of crazy. Of course, DA yesterday being such a new team, very impressive so far for me. It's really good to see that these guys are able to come together, and I feel like the potential for them right now is really, like, it's looking really good. I gotta say, being able to, obviously they have experience playing together across here and there, but as a team, the synergy that they've also already been able to show is really impressive. And yeah, I feel like their potential right now is really high. They could consistently be a top 6 team in Europe for sure.
It's one of those where it's like a sign of things to come, I think, for this roster. A few more months in the game together as a team, and like I think they can quite easily be winning this. There is more than enough individual skill. There is more than enough years tendered within PUBG. We anticipated that we would be seeing something special from them. I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? When you put a roster together like this, it's sink or swim, as simple as that, really. And this team is absolutely swam, and to be up there with the best of them, it's good to see. It's another challenger to the top of the board. It's another team to throw into the mix. We'll give you overviews of where all these teams are setting up shop. You've seen the circle come in, where our first location's going to be. This time it's a little bit over by Fazeland, currently Monte Nuevo. VP not too distant, just away over by Power Grid. You've got Navi thrown in the mix that rolls down the back of the crater fields. El Pozo will be hot. We're going to have Skade, who's sat in there, 4-man band. Everyone else generally now playing outskirts. They're your main four that are in tow for the central circle. So if you want to take a priority position, now is the time to do it. We'll keep those 4 teams in the back of our mind, Martin, because in theory, they have the pick of the bunch here for the start of the game.
Yeah, for sure. It's very likely to see them go up in their usual spots. It's going to be the prior compound. But the interesting one is it can swing still. It can still be in some of these areas. We have seen our fair share of power grid endings recently, and it could very much be one of those kinds for sure. But yeah, I'm also looking at a bit of Navi here. I mean, they're a team that have had really good consistency. They did show insane performance in our upper bracket opening here, so their form currently feels really on point. Also, especially on Miramar, so this could also be one of the kind of home turf circuits for there where they can prevail and get through with things. They haven't won a game yet this weekend. Last weekend they managed to get 2, so it's the consistency that we've been able to see from them is definitely up there. And last week, yeah, I mean, as much as question mark, they could also have been our winner. It was close in the end, but they were able to close it out. And yeah, early rotations of Battalions getting pretty close to Team Liquid, and the Junkyard up here west of Power Grid. They want to of course spread out and see if they can get a lot of compounds and a lot of ground right now. But shots are coming in. Battalions alone, and I'm actually not expecting them to stay here for too long. We'll see what they're split and what they're planning to do right now. That's one of the harder things, right? When you have a completely centered on your home turf, is how much ground can you take, and do you want to take any risks, because you don't want to give up some of the really high prior spots that you basically are looting. They obviously, if it's a power grid ending, you would expect them to at least have 2 guys in power grid and keep that. But yeah, Battalions didn't find a bike, so he's not going to go on top of the rocks and scout for 3 zones to get all the infos. So that could also play a different game out for them. And I'm quite sure there's about 40-50 other players in the lobby right now that is very happy that he didn't manage to get a 2-seater bike, because it's an absolute pain in the buttocks to have a guy poke at your vehicles and take all the info away from you.
I kind of like it from Liquid. They obviously fully well know where VP likes to set up shop. They fully well know where VP likes to rotate from and where they start the match off. Whether or not them pushing up just a little bit towards the north, it's not too far from Picardo, is a show of force to try and deny VP a land grab. It's, if that's the case, apply a little bit of pressure to the lobby leader, then I'm totally fine with that. I mean, it might not be nothing. It might just be a simple fact that they've crossed paths on what is a priority position as you work your way down and not too far from the center of the circle, but still, they sent 2 up there, they stood their ground, they pushed VP back. That denies VP a little bit of land and forces VP ultimately to stay inside Power Grid. Now, VP won't be alone up there. EIQ have worked their way in. August, I can see, is already wrapping around just towards their southeast. Who else we got? SMB, Plan B, Mutiny, Red Lime. They're all starting their rotations down from the south. SMB's starting to encroach on positions a little closer to the side of Plan B. FaZe is working its way across from Monte Nuevo. We'll have to keep track of that. They're in a 2-2 split currently. One team will be taking the top side of Monte Nuevo, just heading out from the city and a little bit closer to Navi's territory. The second 2 move down opposite side of the road to Team Liquid. Down the hill across the road, Plan B left. In a bit of a Badlands situation, to be fair. Scar and Skade, 2 teams which are very difficult to say side by side. They will be a 4 versus 1 essentially. Sakura's there to secure the side of the road while the other 3 will rotate to the north. Question mark will be there as well. They're now just working their way past slowly but surely on crater fields. DA, water treatment. They're not quite the last team that are going to be working their way to the circle. That still sits safely with Ding, who are just moving past Valdemar. Now the center, as you can see from the teams, it's, well, excuse me, this is actually the center. This is working the way to the center, excuse me. Redline Mutiny. This is all the way down towards the south. Mutiny have a 2-1-1 split, and SMB is staring at the top side of it. So they have to be careful as they try and evacuate towards Picado. They could get caught off guard. The interesting point in all this, Matt, in that we've not really mentioned them because they've not shown any sign of life whatsoever. It's ENCE. They are on a very big rotate. They headed a little bit towards the south, realized there were shots, and now they're heading back up north on the eastern side.
Yeah, and that's actually what's something that they've been able and capable of doing quite well. Their big rotations, they're being able to kind of analyze what the first two circles, maybe even 3 circles are doing, and then put themselves into a great spot. They have the fragging power, but they are definitely capable of making really good macro rotations, and their calls have been quite good. One of the teams has also got a win right now, but 17 kills only, and that's kind of you don't really benefit from the the early kills if you like when you play center and teams crashing you when you're playing very edge heavy. So you'll always or very often be one of the last teams coming into the fight, and you're not able to kind of get that up as well. But ENCE is all like their win they got was, I believe, with 2 kills, was some of the lowest we've seen in a very long time. They don't have the kills from that. It's from the rest of the games. But yeah, they need to get a couple more wins on the board if they want to be contesting the top and potentially try to take the tournament home.
I mean, they're actually in the bottom. I think they're in the bottom 6 when it turns to frags as a whole. But the 1 win gets them up in 5th position. A second win's going to put them in second place. So it doesn't really matter. Kills, I don't want to shine a bad light on kills. They are still important. They're going to be that tiebreaker. They're going to play an important key role because we have seen tiebreakers done by it. So you still need them. However, it's not the be-all and end-all. It's not the end game, and getting that win is the end game. And for ENCE, if they don't pick up all the frags in the world and they have quite a quiet time, if they get the win, who cares, right? It's whichever way you want to make this thing work. And, for some teams, changes do need to happen. We touched on it a little bit on the desk. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Liquid. I think they're a phenomenal team. I still think they're a world-class team. But this can be said for FaZe. This format in particular, it's just not been too kind for them. The individual shows there, the power is absolutely there, the teamwork is absolutely there. But, if it's just not your competition, if the circle gods are not with you, and you end up in a fight against someone else. You've been rotating against these teams for absolutely God knows how many years now, tripping up over one another. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's going to happen. And coming out of it with 1, 2, hell, even 3 men dead towards the late game, it's so detrimental. Taking 4 players to the final circle now is one of the most prominent factors in winning this. VP out in the vehicles, away they go, and I have never seen a team turn and face away and head back into the shelters as quick as that. Every single little marker there just turned around the arrows. Cars back in the power grid, boys, because the circle's looking quite comfortable for them.
Yeah, and this time around, they're also taking a quick hold on to the northern red brick building. That was the last time where they managed to get a pretty good placement for it, but they obviously didn't manage to close out the win. So they wanna take that power position. It's also, I would say, the most important one to take when you're a power grid looting team. So it's good to see that they learn from past experiences. Now, Blaze, the supermassive Blaze, and Apocalypse on board with here. They are taking the low ground rotation past, and I could imagine that they would be sending it to some of the big dips that you're able to play west of power grid. It very much looks like it, but they're definitely sending it through there. Good call from them, because right now they are literally dead center into the circle. Liquid poking a little bit at them already as well. And now Scar is also making some moves, also towards Liquid. On the smaller dirt roads just west of them. Shots were going to be coming in. Hellstar is actually ready with a barrel in hand. That would be sick if we can land some shots. That was pretty damn good shots landing right there. Nice shots from Hellstar. And they are able to send it, a really good spot as well. The dip here, this is actually the dip I expected Blaze to take here, Rich, but the next one, yes, of course, not this one. And we've been seeing some really good fights from those areas in general. Now, DA, the team that we saw occupy the red brick building last time we had a ending up here, they are playing the outskirts, playing in a good spot. They got locked in and actually lost the game because there's just so many smokes. It was just impossible for them to get out, and the utility, of course, came in hand quite well for them in the end. Now Scar, here, this is the dip we like, right? This is the dip where you're able to just sit. You're not going to get many kills from it, but you're going to get a really good late game position until somebody comes in and throw a nade, and then you basically have 2 knocks from that.
Everything that you've been trying to backbuild is just thrown to the wolf, which sometimes with these circles, that can be the telltale sign. The fights will begin to unfold. Teams start to encroach on each other's position. Don't get me wrong, we look towards Power Grid now because it's a very, very prominent factor. It's a hot zone for circles. It's a hot zone for endgame. There are still a few options, but the circles will need to shift dramatically. The problem is, because you have this ridgeline, which you can see on your screen currently, just off to the right-hand side, where Ents is, that ridgeline in particular will play a factor once we move to circle number 4. If we're going to get something early, we're looking at a push towards a very hard push towards the west. Maybe we get the barns, maybe we get the hillside where FaZe is setting up shop. I don't blame them for sitting where they are now. There's a small window of opportunity, but you're looking for the double hard shift. San Martin, again, a chance that we get 2 hard shifts over towards that city, in which case it could pull it to the roadside. There's a few weird and wonderful circles that could come from this. But the moment Power Grid is looking so good with this one, it comes into the fold even more. And we're pretty much now set up for that game. Everybody else that's outside of it is forced to move, and you can see how the circle's touching the circumference of that ridgeline, working round from Ents down to Liquid, over by Ding, and then just on the outskirts, Na'Vi. Na'Vi probably could sit here, maybe just camp a few players on the road, maybe try and pick up a few stragglers that want to make an entrance point. Liquid ascending it. They're going in. We'd assume that maybe they take the electrical pylon. If not, they're going to turn straight in and go, wow. Okay, they're going for the brick. They're going fully in. They're fully committed to it. VP's up top. I'm quite surprised at this one, but you know what? They've managed to make it to the door and lose down. Contact made. Entry Fragger has done his job. There is shots in abundance on the back of Mexi. Turns. He's back on him. Instantly, Mexi fires back. Perfectix has to step up to the challenge now. There has been damage done across both sides here. This has gone tremendously well for Liquid. Like, maybe VP just did not anticipate such a hard counter push against it.
No, I didn't expect them to be able to get those 2 openings on Lu and Battalions. And it looks like Spyro and Perfectix are actually disengaging from this. And Liquid surviving with 3 guys in this scenario, fantastic for them. They're able to take pretty much a prio spot in this. They are able to push on from it, and no matter where the next circle plays, they will be having a decent standpoint from Redline, though, going into Scars. Hellstar is going to open up and look the rooks. More shots coming in. 3D not able to connect. Nail's going to find one. Hellstar's going to find another one. It's looking very good. Castle found more shots coming in. Nail taken down as well. It's down to QB. Oh my god, he's going to be taken down as well. Hellstar with 3 and Ploxar with 1. What an absolute insane opening up for Scar, and being able to defend this position is absolutely crazy. I did not expect him to win them that easily. That was quick. Well played by Hellstar.
There's blood in the water. We'll see if a hungry shark wants to go over there and send a nade flying into the ditch with the amount of vehicles that are now lined up and the players currently weakened. It would be a very, very easy wipe should somebody be able to get into that position to do so. Won't be the most easy as, you know, just run up there and get the job done kind of thing, for the simple fact that teams will be lurking. And you will have line of sight towards that. Once you go up and over the hill, you could be spotted at range. Alia going out for Na'Vi just to try and find the next potential anchor placement. I think he's got a read on maybe where Senya is. Backup is arriving here. Sail certainly has been found. Senya goes up and over we go. First one is down and dead. Senya strikes and keeps on going. Sail from the distance wants to try and help him out. Fate's getting involved in a different fight altogether. That's Novik. EIQ taking casualties. Prill now into it. Away we go. They want to try and tackle Na'Vi head on, deny them any more land grab and deny them further access. Aduzi still going toe-to-toe with the IQ. QM. Dante's going to follow it up onto Curix as well. That'll be another frag in the bag. Thank you very much for this. Warnightsea. Around we go, lurking and looking, but you can see in the distance Faultlessly is there, and it looks like position has been noted because the rest of Q&M, Martin, are rallying to this position.
And that could be a dangerous one as well. Let's see if they're able to defend this. I mean, if you're able to hold the northern side here, it could be decent. You can play the dip on the east side as well, but across late game is going to be extremely hard. Faultlessly Find some shots. Well, it doesn't get a knock though. And looks like FaZe is going to be disengaging from this fight and try to find another entry into this circle. Could it be onto Skate's position, onto the warehouse? Or maybe potentially take the dip across or try to cross this early on. It's going to be hard now. I feel like they've lost a significant amount of durability onto their cars. Potentially a few tires that are a little bit hit, so they only need one more to get popped. QM has one player inside right now. It's Fade. He has a car. It's getting tapped a little bit from Virtus Pro. You don't want that to happen. So they're also going to have a little bit ahead of them to try to get into the circle here, Rich. And you know what? I'm expecting DA to still have a pretty good game from this. They're gatekeeping the northeastern side. It's looking pretty damn good for them right now. FaZe Clan, though, trying to get in and kind of wrap in under the position that Skate has. And Sakura is putting out a lot of damage. I think that grenade actually connected a little bit on some shots are coming out. It's going to be a rough one for FaZe Clan. Question Mark is sending it across the street. And they're going to try to grab some land just south of the street here. That's a really good call for them, actually.
You got to be really careful, though, because of the building, the garage, which will provide you a little bit of leverage. Sakura's still cycling these grenades. You said the first one tickled, the second one could strike. No, they've split away from it. Gustav's already at the wall, so the call's been made to send it up. Fuzzface there in abundance. Gustav down for now. Fex behind the lines. Sakura first one to fall, anonymous just to his left-hand side. They have to be careful of the man, the marksman, Misa. Just off to the left. They can't overstep the boundaries. Never mind, he's down as well. FaZe Clan have made a beautiful show of force here. Onto Skate. They've no idea what's hit them. There's only one of them left standing inside the building. Fex looking to clear. They get the final one, and that's job done. I'll take that. Only Gustav going down, and potentially a four-man sweep coming through. If he gets this again, that would... No! He doesn't check the door, but the cover fire's there, but a different player altogether. Huth will ruin the day for Fex and eliminate him. But FaZe somehow managed to keep 3 players alive.
Yeah, that was quite an opening for FaZe. That campaign right there was quite successful. They're able to grab a bit of land on the northern side. Might have to move later, though. Squeaky and Ents, they've managed to get into the eastern side of the circle. Entropic and DA is there. Mutiny on the southern side as well. Lunar is going to find Sail. Priel is going to be taken down by Thender as well. So shots are coming in from Auglis, putting in a lot of pressure onto Dink. Next circle has popped. It's gone pretty much south and sitting pretty happy right now onto the power grid. Scar is also sitting in a really good spot on the western side. They could fare quite well out of their spot and maybe get to the wall if it goes further east later. Millman, last kind of chance to dip, try to get into the area and see if we can hold on to that a little bit. And right now we just have so many teams on the edges that we're gonna lose at least 3 or 4 teams once the circle closes or during its closing. So we'll see how many teams gets kind of sandwiched in between some of the bigger ones. Hawk and Regibeater, the last 2 players from Entropic, they're gonna have a hard time sitting in between ends and Digitalytics right now. That's spotted Squeaky and could potentially find some more. Regibeater, I don't think he's fully aware of the density of Ends players just on the other side. Oh, he spotted Squeaky. More info coming in. Hawkey's gonna try to get back. Regibeater with a really good off angle for this. He's gonna find Diggory. He's gonna find Dixon just chilling. Ooh, really good cover from Diggory. And now Ends have to strike. Try to get rid of Tropic. Shots are connecting quite well. Oh, it's close. Squeaky's gonna take down Hawkey, and now it's just Regibeater. They're hearing this. They're repositioning their cars. Good time to either make a macro move or to make a third-party move, and they decide for the macro. Now, Question Mark is taking on FaZe right now, Rich.
My next remark was literally going to be, it's how DA reacts to this one. Now they've managed to get around the entirety of both those teams. They can carry on the gatekeep. They were left out a little bit on the circle, but now they're in charge. Larger in charge, and away we go. Fuzzface hits the deck for all but a moment, but the nade's there. Will force the one player back. Gustav does have the angle. I think he's caught a player just down to the left-hand side, but Aitzi has been damaged. Fuzzface falls as well. QM is doing a fantastic and phenomenal job here. Beautiful little lean to the left-hand side. The damage is done, and he's on the run. Turns the 3 versus 1 to a 1 versus 1. Gustav is somehow getting this done. Final player standing between him and getting inside the circle faultlessly. Back and forth they go, and Gustav somehow manages to save the day in a 3 versus 1, potentially unwinnable scenario. he will continue with FaZe Clan's campaign, and he also might be able to get someone else back on the feet.
I think AT unfortunately is going to be lost to the circle. It's moving quite fast on their side, considering it's a southern shift. Yeah, AT is going to go down. So he's going to be having to continue this alone, but North is not too occupied, so we will see manages to get into the under the radar of Virtus Pro, and Ents also managed to. They actually lost 3 guys and are down to just Tixu now. Digitalytics is not fully aware of Tixu's position. He's wrapping in and sneaking in on below and behind them. We'll see if they manage to do that. Next shift is also Southern, and Team Liquid is sitting really happy inside the big red brick building gym, someone call it. Priel and Ding, 3 guys alive. I actually managed to get Priel up after that knock. The western side here is going to be very, very occupied with the 3 teams trying to get in. Mutiny also in from the south side. Jong is going to find, oh my god, actually help from Spyro on the other side. Tixu found Xiong, but Spyro is going to take him down. And good helping hand from Virtus Pro onto Digitalytics. They have a pretty good side on the eastern side. They actually managed to probably have an uncontested space here on the warehouses.
Need to get rid of this one final player. The snake in the grass still continues to strike just behind the rocks, so now he's got his number wrote, but he's going to have to run about away from this one. Like, they can't afford another player going down, or that's them pretty much gone. Aspiring get inside, then there is potential, but I think he's heard the vehicles. And there's vehicles in abundance from either side. Senya will fall. Spyro is cleaned up, which means Gustav's on the move, slowly but surely. Honor in the kill feed, going down. Ogler still getting tanked up from a different player altogether. They do have 4 players up to Mutiny, so it's still something to try and challenge. Gustav has managed to make it into... Oh, dear. Oh, he's... Oh, no. He's like, no! Drop shot. Thank you very much. Get the hell out of here. We'll continue. SMB, find Skay just chilling inside this little tributary. Look at all these vehicles. One good grenade, and they can kiss that team goodbye. Bye-bye is exactly that. Ding's in the distance as well, so they have to be really careful with this one. Now everyone rushing towards these ditches in a hope to find some kind of survivability. But they're outside currently. This is not inside the circle. They do just used to use this as a bit of a waypoint. Work their way up and continue upside that hill, or maybe even use it as a pit stop to try and tackle Mutiny, who are inside the circle and then do have a decent ridge line. Liquid, kings of the castle, and honestly, I am surprised they got away with murder. They caught VP very unaware. They did not have the full force to tackle them. Lost 1 player by doing so as well. Now, like, when you look at that, Martin, only losing 1 player to take the biggest and baddest warehouse within this circle, it's a beautiful trade-off.
Yeah, that's quite fantastic. Let's see how they will manage to kind of hold on to it. Blaze and Mutiny is going to be taking on each other. Apocalypse is going to find Yusik. Rush is pretty much coming through. Hurth is going to find Gujara as well. And Blaze is probably... They are already actually the last team with full 4-man alive. Smokes are coming out, and if they manage to take control of the western side uncontested here, they could be looking very happy for this potential win. Liquid considering if they should overextend to try the third party, but no, right now this next circle here has shifted in their favor. They just want to control the southern side and then make sure that nobody comes in from the east, and then they will pretty much be in a really winning spot for the late game. Leash could be found by that nade. Youth a little bit too... That's a really good nade. That could bounce really close. Yeah, it's going to find here the fantastic nade from here onto Leash. 12 kills for Blaze so far. What a game for them. Only team to be 4 guys alive. Controlling the west side. 2 snakes from VP and Navi alive. And then 2 3-man teams from Digitalytics and Team Liquid. And by the look of things here, Digitalytics have decided to try to go in on the north of this new circle and try to see if they can clear out. But they have 2 snakes laying about. And you know, if they step on one of them, it will probably lose 1 guy, because they'll usually go for the kill and the flush extremely quick. Melman on the other side. Let's see how they approach this one. Dvad and Pixel currently front runners, and Xiong playing on the back line and anchor to see if somebody else is coming in. Nobody would kind of push that position from the warehouse unless they're playing east, and they would have been aware of that. So really coherent gameplay right now from Digital Lyrics. I really like the synergy that they're displaying, and the game awareness being quite prevalent here is Rich. And let's see. For me right now, it's how does Blaze make it into the late game? The amount of utility that they have available to them right now. I've seen 9 smokes. I've seen 4. So they have 15, 20 smokes for late game. A lot of offensive utility as well. 4 Molotovs and 3 nades I saw there. That's just crazy. They don't really need the nades. If they can set up a really good push for this one and get into the control of the western side of the fence there, they could pretty much be winning the game just in utility alone. That could be quite impressive to see. Liquid trying to hold the back push, but probably not happening with considering how this is trying to push the north, though Perfectus has managed to snake all the way into a really good spot, and now DA here pushing. Let's see if they find Melman.
You understand why as well. They're not going to just go running out of the warehouses. They need to go under the cover of whatever they can, and that's because Liquid has the high ground. Liquid have those little letterboxes that they can see through and watch the cross it. Like, no matter how many smokes you have, you can see above those smokes from the angle that Liquid's holding. So you have to take an alternate route, and this is exactly what DA is doing. 3 players up, so at least got a fair few to take to this late game fight. Again, checking those areas, see if they can just catch one player of Liquid, but we do have these snakes in the grass that you mentioned.
Millman.
Playing close is an advantage here for DA because they can trade off. Okay, it's Young. Good kill. That removes one objective. Perfectix is in the open. What in the hell? Smokes plume in. Thank you very much. There we go. So he's in the smokes, and maybe this is a slight distraction. This is Team Liquid. They'll have to face this at the end of the day. It's probably the reason that James is overextended out towards the little ticket booth area.
Imagine if Perfectus manages to win this game just by sneaking into the very center and let the fight kind of just occur around him. I doubt that he has.
They've got to be kicking themselves a little bit, right? This is where they loot. This is where they started. This was a, with all due respect, a bit of a gifted circle, and they just they
lost that position. Yeah, they let it happen. If they wanted that position, obviously you have to greed in second zone there, but Liquid just saw it popped up. And they wanted it. They
didn't have the full roster there, did they? They were still spread even for that.
It was only 2. Perfectus was playing on the eastern side in the warehouses. Spyro is holding the northern red brick, and Perfectus has become one with the bush. He could very much stay here.
It's the greatest ghillie suit I've ever seen. I'm gonna be honest.
That is, it's gonna be very, very hard to find him right now. I gotta be honest here, and he's sitting probably the most central spot. It's absolutely crazy.
Imagine if everyone kills themselves around him and he wins this now.
That'd be crazy. Blaze, though, 4 guys alive. They still have something to say in this one. It's looking very likely that we're going to see on the eastern side of things, we're going to see Liquid and Digital fight for this because of how the terrain and how the kind of buildings are laid out. What's coming in already. And that is from Blaze, making sure that they don't push out and they don't take control of that western side. So Blaze already in a really, really good hold of this majority of the circle, and they're poking. You can see how with the 2-2 split, they're forcing the 2 teams to stay on that side and trying to force them so close together in where the circle will be that it's going to be inevitable for Liquid and DA not to fight. So this could very much be a massive game for Blaze.
There's even potential here that Liquid actually takes them outside of power grid. Maybe takes them on the hillside, because this is going to be a bit of a bombardment that they certainly need to be aware of, and I would say they are aware of. With the smokes coming up now, anyone can just run in here. This favors all of this action, completely favors the final player from VP. You boys just kick the living hell out of one another. I'll stay here and wait until all is said and done. I mean, a random grenade could catch him, don't get me wrong, but no one's looking towards those bushes. You naturally wouldn't. Blaze finally engages. Mexi down, tanked up, less than 50% HP. We've also seen Ibi caught in the backlines as well. This is DA. At the moment, Liquid are just between a rock and a hard place. Ibi were the first one to fall. Molly goes over and catches him. He's burnt, he's down. Mexi has been spotted. The heel will try and unfold. James is just tanking up on stims and getting ready for the fight because he knows the fight of his life. When he peeks his head out of there,
no way.
It's going to be a turret. Perfectix, don't move. Don't show your ankle. They're not even looking his way. There's still a viable chance. This bush could be the downfall of everything. They've got trees also and shrubbery to the left-hand side. He's going to be occluded out of vision. Nothing spotted just yet. Ibi about to lose his life unless the Resuscitation just comes in. It's got a pause. He's not out of it just yet, but the blue's there. Is he back on his feet? No, they lose him, but only just. Mexi also all tanked up, and every single smoke. Perfectix is forced to move. Finally, the audible cue comes in, and VP's chances are gone, but it was a valiant attempt nonetheless. 2 players from Liquid, absolutely no HP between them. Needs to carry on looking. Mexi's feet, his ankles are gone. Now it goes into a 2 versus 3. 1 player from SMB's down. Youth is forced to heal as well. Apocalypse, he's been caught. Still with the iron sight, just mopping them up. Rip9 needs to go huge here, and all of a sudden, SMB 16 frags. Martin, you said earlier on they were looking strong. They get the win, and I tell you what, that is a lot of frags to boot as well, tied in tie with it.
That was a crazy game, and I gotta say the execution there from Blaze, that was just on point. The way they managed to sweep the west side, they got all the utility that they needed to kind of set up, and also the way that they used their smokes offensively to both visually and also gate the teams that were on the east side, and poking at both teams to make sure that they stayed within their fences and stayed close to each other so the fight would happen inevitably. So that was just super well executed, but it was close. VAR managed to get 2 down. Trade as well coming in from Shang. You know, that was just an insane game overall. One of the most interesting endings I've seen in the Power Grid. But yeah, Blaze 16 kills, managed to close it out and put themselves on the board here. What a fantastic game for them. 16, yeah, really impressive.
It has a huge. I mean, we won't until we go through and tally it up and we go back with James. Like, we won't see the full impact, but they only had 17 frags coming into this grand final. They've almost doubled their fragging power. They've certainly doubled their wins in 1 game alone. That sends them up there potentially into maybe top 3 after 1 game. And it kind of shows everyone else now that simply after 1 game, how much it can change the entire just course of how this competition goes. It's done it for 1. Everyone else is still within this. It's a little bit unfortunate for VP. There was a chance there to win it. But yeah, they spread themselves way too thin at the start of it, and Liquid took advantage of that.
Yeah, you have to be a bit greedy there, but when you lose, 2 opening 1v1s, then yeah, you can't really do, it's going to be hard to defend, especially the way that Liquid, they managed to put themselves into the spot. They were very close to each other. The refrag came in as well. The support was there immediately. Potentially there should even have been 4 guys alive if the flush didn't come in. I think even with some pressure from the south side as well. So yeah, in general, super well played by Liquid, but Blaze, they just managed to completely close this one out early. 12 kills coming in into the late game, and managed to mop up an additional 4 for a 16-kill chicken. It was extremely impressive and super well executed by them. That's just a picture-perfect way that I was kind of saying how I expected it to go, and they just did that perfectly. They were so aware of their surroundings and their opposing players as well.
I think the bigger counteract of that, Martin, you have to look at Mutiny and the position where they actually were for that.
Right.
They had to remove them. They had 4 players alive and kicking. And in the blink of an eye, they were removed. By doing that, by getting involved with that fight, it just gives them so much room to take control.
Yeah, and yeah, for sure. And they took it away from them. It was mainly them how they managed to play around the terrain, deploy a bit of the smokes, and yeah, they were just ready for it. So they closed it out quite well, yeah.
All right, then we're going to take a very short break. We'll get James back in. We'll discuss it all a little bit more. For now, don't go anywhere. Grab a drink, and we'll see you guys in just a second.
Got 4 this go of things, but time is not on his side here. Blue's on his back, and the nade comes out. Vex taking chunks from the blue itself. 80 trying to stay ahead, sees the nade. You can see Vex trying to just work around that. Oh, but it lands! The burn nade! Dex is an animal! He's doing everything. He's doing the dirty to face. He gets another! Who is this man? And where has he come from? 5 kills. He wants more! He gets more!
The most insane 1v4 we have ever seen in PUBG.
I mean, we're already seeing throwables come out.
completely blinded. To look at the amount, this is playing with your food right now, Sonic. And Pants, do it! Sonics, I love you so much for that.
เดินเลยคุมเดินยังไม่เลยครับคุณอาร์ตแล้วสเปย์ครับเป็น4 15ทีตัดเจเกนได้ช็อตนี้วิทยามาแจมแล้วก็บอลเก็บมาคุมเองจนนั้นคุมเก็บดับเบิลคิวท่านผู้ชมครับส่งเอ็กซ์สเตเดียมจบอันดับที่16ต้องบอกแล้วพระเอกของงานนี้คือกรุ่มของจริงครับผมแล้วกัน
他4个人几乎是同样的角度。这个雷不错，911一雷炸2个。Inonex 的位置刚才911后条应该也发现了。
这个是没有扎到，没有扎到。
舱里面也有人能修的。
哇，911这。
ngay bây giờ đi không là có tình huống bom sẽ diễn ra thôi. Bây giờ thì thêm một đại diện nữa muốn tham dự vào đại hội võ lâm của chúng ta nhưng quyết định đâm về phía các thành viên của Semeno, đấm liên tục vào mồm của thành viên của Ba Chiếc Esports và đó là Hoàng Thành Cơ cũng như là vị trí của Levin. Bị cấu đi một lượng máu khá lớn nhưng mà không sao, việc đánh nhau xảy ra.
어쨌든 GEX 있는 위치에서 또 다 보이거든요.
그리고
와 라이딩 수류탄! 와!
스피드!
라이딩 수류탄을 했어요.
기가 막히게 들어가는데요.
야 진짜 많이 들어가요.
Вот FMX анонимно его достреливает, подъезжает на позицию Mutiny Example, а хаешек-то уже нету. А вот парни заготовили, по одной хаешке сложно будет, просто убегает. Что он сейчас провернул? Прикрывают его тиммейты, взрываются все игроки команды.
There you go. Necro already into the long building. How do I feel about these long buildings matchup?
Poor Necro, man. He's always like by himself having to do these crazy plays. That grenade bounce
it
was
made it
beautiful!
Oh my God, Necro! That was amazing!
Super massive blaze set the lobby alight. What was that? In doubling their kills, getting themselves the chicken dinner, a massive boost up for this now roster truly of veterans, getting themselves into a great spot here in this tournament. I've got Martin, I've got Richard talking about this game. Martin, how many endings can we have near Power Grid in this tournament? I feel like we've had so many, more than I've had in any other tournament ever.
Yeah, it's definitely been a Power Grid patch for sure. We've had a fair share of endings, but they've been, you know, similar but so different in the end as well, how they turn out. And I really like, you know, both the northern one we had, also this western one here. You can see how the teams they improve from game to game and how they managed to play it out so much better. This flush here from Perfectix onto Clip, that is probably one of the reasons why Liquid decided not to push out and not to kind of take an offensive angle. Gustav also managed to get 3 kills onto Question Mark. A little bit of help from the side, I believe. They got shot from, I think it was either VP or Blaze, Question Mark. They lost that. This drop, though, from Perfectix, oof, that was extremely impressive. 9 HP left himself.
Yeah, very, very nice. It's rare, actually, Rich, we get kills so early. The VP Team Liquid situation, rare we get kills that early, have that much of an impact later on into the game in almost exactly the same place, because this was center for a long time, and obviously these guys were just going to sit around in Power Grid until they had to do anything else.
I'm intrigued if the initial push up to them was to apply pressure and kind of box them in. Certainly, if it was just a full Hail Mary send, it was a risk reward, and it paid off, right? It did a lot of damage to VP. It cut their chances down to winning this event, winning this matchup, and being able to, I mean, from Liquid standpoint, everything, again, it depends if it was just a full Hail Mary, but if it wasn't and they knew that the roster was split and the resources weren't towards the front of this building, then it was just a really, really solid read and a good gesture of them being able to put themselves in a position where they could understand who their biggest enemy and what their biggest enemy was doing.
Yeah, Vard once again towards the end here for Digital Athletics, and it bears repeating, Martin. Digital Athletics yet again in a podium situation here in these games, which Yesterday, we already saw that hallmark run true throughout the majority of the games, and we're here again.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. You know, it was also close. They if they didn't have Youth on the angle there, VAD manages to get 2 knocks as well. Pixel getting a trade. It came down to the last one we won. But yeah, they have consistently just put out an insane amount of consistency in both placement but also kills. You can see here 46 kills for them so far, the second most versus Pro 48. Blaze, though, is going to put themselves into a really good spot with just 1 win and 16 kills. Obviously, a really high kill chicken dinner, but into straight into third after that one. It's just, super, super impressive.
Yeah, and let's iron that out with even more context. They were previously in 11th place. Right. So, considering the massive jump up that they just have, they have to be absolutely ecstatic with that performance. And the fact that was, was that 16 kills?
Yes.
Yeah, 16, right, yeah.
So that now means that they are in the lead when it comes to the kills for a win, or the highest kills for a win in terms of those special prizes. Because I think yesterday the highest was 15 that we saw coming out from that. So amazing stuff for Supermassive Blaze. They could have potentially, Rich, just have bagged themselves $2,500 or something like that.
Which really isn't bad for a day number 1 performance. Excuse me, a game 1 performance on day 2, is it? Like... And that's the biggest thing with this whole format, is that a win can turn your fortunes instantly. It's the one comeback mechanic out of all of this, and the one biggest thing. Like, it's a shocker to teams how you can go from being, down towards the bottom end of the table. A couple of wins, easier said than done, of course, but a couple of wins can basically win you this competition off the bottom of, from being bottom of the table, essentially.
Yeah, just a massive performance by them. And it's not like, Martin, when you look at this kind of performance, and we look to that chicken dinner as the thing that has propelled them high, the 16 kills, and the fact that they were pretty active on that west side to then be moving in towards Power Grid and play it the way they did, really impressive stuff.
Yeah, and also being able to keep 4 guys alive throughout. They had 12 kills going into the late game and into the last kind of combat with that. And how they they got into a spot where they obviously could take on Scar with some nades and some pressure, but they didn't lose a single player in any of their engagements. 12 kills from their kind of mid to late game fights and early game as well, and they just continued to stay 4 strong. And I pointed it out as well, the only team to be 4 guys live, taking on the teams, being able to flex out with a 2-2 split to poke at the other teams to make sure they don't get any flanks coming in from the backside. That literally set themselves up for this win here.
And if only Perfectix didn't have to move from that bush. Once again, VP and DA can continue to be extreme threats regardless of the situation. But anyway, let's get into it. Our second game of the day, Miramar, is on the cards, and we've got Martin and Rich to bring you it all.
Thank you so much, James. Yes, indeed. Here we go. Game number 2, VP. Can you fare a little bit better? I mean, the placement isn't too bad, Martin, but we've got to be honest, and we have to say it. They must be kicking themselves now. That is home territory. That is home turf. They turned away from it ever so slightly, but they just split their resources so damn thin. Like, you can't be at their level. It's not something that we anticipate, and probably why I'm driving it home a little bit more than what I should. It's just not something that you let teams get away from and get away with. And VP's a team that, they just simply got caught with their pants down.
Yeah, they obviously wanted to keep that spot for themselves. They know coming out of that red brick gym there is it's super good. You're able to take a lot of control. You have a lot of entry points you can cover a lot. It has 2 levels as well, so that's why they stuck 2 guys down there to make sure if this circle went in that direction that they wanted to hold on to that. But yeah, you get contested, and that's one of the other things, right? You can play the game so well, but you're never in control of what the other teams decide to do. And a full 4-man crash from Liquid is going to be extremely hard to defend us too. So yeah, they're obviously quite sad of it, but up until that point, their decisions was correct. They were doing all the right things. So it's outside stuff that is putting them into a different spot, and I'm okay with that. They it's going to be extremely hard defending. It's a really breachable building, and compound of at the side of the compound. It's extremely easy to get into. There's a lot of holes in the fences. The whole opening of the gate of the gym is extremely open, and so a full 4-man crash from Liquid unless you're 4 guys, 3 guys there to defend it and already maybe pre-nading, then you're gonna have a hard time doing it.
Well, let's see if things do fare a little bit better than this. Supermassive Blaze, previous winners. Most kills in one match. James alluded to it, and there it is. $2,500 in the bag. Unless someone else manages to take it away from them. 16 kills and a win is not easy by any means. We've seen lots of huge games from people before and lots of huge fragging games, but to tie it in with a win as well makes it that much more important and that much more vicious to the rest of the lobby, I want to say. You've now set the standard of how a Championship Sunday needs to play out. You've now set the tone of what this lobby needs to do in order to rectify and get themselves back up towards the best of them. The circle this time, it's a little bit more to the east, kind of actually homing in and around, not too distant of ENCE's home position. August will be there, SMB will be down there, so this is a good start from them, and you're kind of ending the previous one as they mean to continue in the start of this one. DA, looks like they're looking for vehicles at the moment, just trying to find themselves a place to call home. This will be up just below, I believe, El Azhar, above Junkyard, so again, within the circle, decent starting area, vehicles, they've got them, they're going to be happy with this, they can transfer through. Teams that will be the furthest away from it, we'll talk about those. Question Mark and Ding. Ding having a bit of a difficult arrival previously, as they turned up, they pretty much got battered on arrival by several teams. Question Mark, Martin, kind of same principle, they had a lot of fights on the outskirts, and unless they go early, they might even fall to the same thing previously.
Yeah, I'm expecting a long rotation from them, considering how they knew the plane path was. They're going to be on a long rotation to the eastern side. Coming in quite slowly into the circle, potentially, considering how far away they are. But ENCE is already taking on and trying to clear. Oh, shots coming in already. Quickly found Tixu. Now they have to defend. Really good angle there from Diggory. Quidpa's going to go for the nade flush instead. Tixu trying to crawl around, try to avoid that. Nade didn't connect at all. He bounced it off the wall and it went on to that. That's pretty good. Ooh, the quick peek, and he's going to have the flush. He has no vest though, Quidpa, and only a level 2 helmet, so he's going to be bruised up. There's a 2 vest right there. Take it. No, Quidpa.
He's panicking. He's panicking, isn't he?
He wants to disengage.
Yeah, there was an option there just to kind of leave him to it. Go get your vehicle, go get a 2 vest, and honestly get the hell out of there. Now he will overstay his welcome. And he's forced to fight this unless the rest of the roster want to turn up and take it to ENCE. It's a priority fight as well for the position. This is Central Circle at the moment. Rest of August, they're currently above La Bendita. And Liquid's hot on the tails. SMB's also encroaching in on this position. So I think the time, I want to say, the time for a retrieval on this might be over and done with, unless ENCE has just really been playing this cautious. Ono's going to be over there with the vehicle. He might get away with murder. I'm quite surprised at that. He'll run into the outskirts. No one's going to chase him or challenge him, so he will get away from it. They'll get the pickup and they'll be able to continue. Sure. With ENCE having a good position off the bat, losing a player a few minutes in, it's not going to feel good.
No, that's unfortunate. Obviously, August being down to 3 guys as well due to their roster change. Alia and Navi driving next to each other with VP. Oh, both are considering what are our options here. Should we continue driving? Should we go for the quick peek? Alia decided not to continue that, and they're going to go on a further north rotation. I think here VP just wants to close it out. All right, we're in a jungle compound. Oculus is there with 2, and Liquid is here with at least 3. I think 1 is driving, MX is still driving, and they want to take over this spot. This is a really, really strong compound, especially in this circle. Kind of hard to hold on to, hard to defend, especially as well.
Ooh, good nade though.
Yeah, did connect a little bit.
We've alluded to it previously, Martin. Liquid are not afraid to take a fight, but it can also be the downfall of Liquid sometimes. It leaves them, if they lose a play, you know, going for a full confirmation of a clean 4 versus 4. It's, while it's not out of the realms of impossibility, the improbability factors there. If you're going into a 4 versus 4, you could lose somebody, and it always seems to hinder Liquid. Individual performances still one of the best in the world. have been here for a while. They will continue to be here at the top for seasons to come. With something like this, it's that risk-reward factor once again. Liquid does like a bit of a gamble. We'll see if it pays off. It did last time round. We'll see if this one becomes so fruitful. Mexi's disconnected from the rest of the team. But Tulins, Hawkeye, instantly confirmed and killed. There'll be a point going their way. Or not a point, excuse me. A frag going their way on the board for now. That's because EIQ are not too far in front of them. EIQ is going to have all kinds of problems because they've lost one player already and they've got Na'Vi literally knocking on the back door.
They have to commit to either side also. As you said, Mexi disengaged. And from this spot right now, James is trying to solo defend. Thunderlost is on the side of things. See what Na'Vi does, yeah.
Sharing compounds this early on, it's a recipe for disaster, and it's not something you're going to be comfortable. A lot of noise will be made, a lot of pressure will be applied, so you've got to be careful.
A lot of the prior compounds is still open actually. Ents decided to disengage from the compound that they were contested in, and then left that open. Blaze has decided to go for a 2-2 split. The La Bandita Prio and the useless compound actually by the roadside. August finds one, finds two, finds the flush as well on Nibi. Let's see what Na'Vi decides to do. Entropic disengages from the fight and Alia advances. Try to take an opening spot here. Potentially could find one. No, they are too far away already. I think Novik is still inside. Let's see. He's able to maybe get a kill in opening here. They're getting closed on. Quetpat lurking on Clip's position right now. Has the info. He's close enough, or we're close enough for the sound cues. And now one more backup comes in.
I'll be hearing all of this and just kind of biding his time. Waiting for them to make the first incorrect move. And laying down as well, I'd assume that he's not been spotted. It's actually quite a... it's an interesting one to have so many teams within such a small amount of distance to one another. Such an early game, but then again with the circle, it's completely understandable. You're looking across at La Bendita, and we've had a few circles that kind of push from that side, so we have to think about it in our mind. Okay, as it hits, Elazar, understandably and notably, will always pull away from there, just given the placement of the city. Minis General is the backside of it. Eventually, that's going to get pushed out, so it will move further in from there. We at least know it's going to be going to the northwest. Apocalypse, first strike onto Hell Story, gone. Removed and eliminated instantly. Tries to bank him from the back wall. Honor finally found, so makes it a little bit easier for Liquid. Looks like they're getting the hell out of here with 2 players left remaining in the vehicle, and away we go. Regroup with the rest of the roster. Get deeper inside the circle. There's still a few player. Never mind. I stand completely corrected altogether. Clip, however, has paid the price and lost his life. The rest of them will now commit to the cause and get inside. Ibi down and dead as well. And for Liquid losing 2 players, while it's a very strong compound within this circle, holding it at 50% manpower is not going to be easy.
Oh, it's going to be extremely rough. They're going to be playing a salvage game rather here, and maybe try to get into late game. Not the best compound, especially considering how the terrain is around it. You can easily push onto it, and it's one of the best spots right now in the circle. But Ents took back the compound where they lost 6, unfortunately for them. But yeah, they're able to hold it. Also, one of the compounds that's quite easily breachable. Na'Vi still in Junkyard, sharing it on Tropic. Definitely should be moving out soon. It's not going to end up here unless we have 5 hardships on the northern side. It's going to be a first for me in some time. They decided to go for the 2-2 split. A little further south, and the northeast is actually looking very congested right now with the amount of teams that we see there. FaZe have decided to take Impala and rest of the northern side of the factory side of Mbala is actually not contested at all just yet. Let's see what Virtus Pro decides to do. They're currently holding the saloon. Quite a good spot, but it's still on the kind of northern side of things. We will see how far they decide to get this. Obviously, we've seen a fair share of the circles coming up this way, especially with phase 4 and being a factor. Dante taking some shots, flawlessly as well. Pressure's coming out onto Virtus Pro. Sitting in a 2-2 split. I kind of like their split right now. They're definitely expecting things. I had the pleasure of playing a bit with Squeaky the other day, and he was praising Batulins, saying Sasha is a fantastic IGL. He knows stuff. He knows something. He's clever, and that's definitely the telltale so far for VP. They are extremely prepared, both on what they know about the other teams, what they play, but also on how the game plays out. 4 guys live right now. VP could definitely have a good game for this one here, Rich.
They could. Certainly could. I'll see if the circle's favourable to them and they have to wander down. Liquid's going to be in the way, but again, it's not too... Shouldn't be too much of a struggle, really, a 4 versus 2, regardless of it being Jeems and Mexi altogether. Skate, just the left-hand side, something to keep note of as well. If they want to move forward, then that'll be a jump spot. Depends how the circle falls onto them, and it falls perfectly, so they will have to go through Team Liquid. VP's position, once again, becomes almost priority. That's only secondary to where we're looking on DA, and that's quite a decent split, actually. The 2-2 for the small amount of land and small amount of hard cover they're going to control as well. It could work in tandem to deny people access. Rip9, player in front of him using the budget helmet, the level 1. The gear's not with them, but the manpower is. They will push forward. Probably go to one of the back sides of the hill. They'll know the priority placements here. They'll know the priority positions that teams will be holding, and you can't just fully send it. At least not blindly, which is unfortunately will need to happen here. 4 Supermassive Blaze. It's like EIQ are actually making a big old push. Faultlessly needs to fire and lay the hammer down hard into EIQ to deny this one. The rest of his teammates needs to hurry up because he's the only player standing. Firing early has bought some time, but probably not enough. They will be inside the compound. They will be at his doorstep now, and it's something he needs to be aware of. Fate, meanwhile, trying to make it over to this fight. He's getting shot in the back, so a quick, brief moment of pause to heal up before he enters this. Warzone will be needed. Aduzi spotted him just on the ridge line. The one player outside of all of this. The doors are open. Welcome in. Questionable play just to open the door and wander in. I don't know. You know that those hallways are going to be covered by players. I don't get it. You've got time, you've got room, you've got your teammates to work off the back of, and ultimately they just throw a body into the fire for no reason whatsoever. So EIQ lose another player.
Yeah, they're going down to just 2 guys again here. It is obviously not optimal. You always want to go for the refrag possibility. Pushing us through is a must in that situation for sure. Mutiny is taking up another space just south of Virtus Pro. And Blaze obviously close to them, has all the info of where they are, how they're playing, and where they're sitting up. All the audible cues for sure. And this next circle here could very likely also bounce up towards them. With the 2-2 split. Oh, Richie Pirro spotted from afar. It's Metalman taking him down. Literally from Narnia, actually. It's a 500 meter shot. Really good connections from Melman. Now, question mark going for the full 4-man send in 1 car. And they've had a pretty good high ground to scout and spot from, so they will be able to get some more info. Dropping off 1, getting 1 more car. It's gonna be taking a bit of blue damage, staying as 3 for the rest, and then they can get into a stronger spot, at least inside the circle. Samuel's gonna find Giria from Plan B. And Hello My Bad is also roughened up inside the shack. Archie's going to be flushed. And the next circle has popped. Yeah, it's actually gone a little bit, not north, but it's donut a little bit. And Blaze, Mutiny, Digitalics, and Virtus Pro is currently sitting inside the compounds that are, or not the 2 compounds and the 2 open spaces that are prior on this circle. Redline holding the east, and the rest of the teams, they're going to have quite a rough time getting into the circle. They're gonna have to fight their way in. That's a good mollo. Ooh, really good turn from Hello My Bad. Didn't connect the molly actually. Now Nate's coming out. They really want to get rid of him here in the northwestern side. They wanna hold. Oh, that's a really good nade onto Alia.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt him. Now the rest of them will have to kind of rally around that and work the way forward. I'm just trying to see what kind of angle Quizzy's gonna have as he heads over this one. Is that molly gonna go inside, or it just bounced a little bit too far? Actually hit the top of the shack, and he is burning, so it's clipped him. It's transferred on the floor. Oh, that is an impeccable molly. Denies the front door and now continues onwards. Instantly, Hello My Bad is removed from play. Now they go for the nades. Now they have some sort of rough information where these will be lurking. That's going to be good. That's going to be absolutely frigging awesome. So much damage is done. If there's a follow-up on there, that will be 2 players down bad. He can continue to hold this, though. With the flashbang follow-up, they might just catch him on the back lines of this one. Get your gun out, my dude, because you're going to have players knocking on the door rather shortly. Falls back. Navi's there, at least certainly ones that are close to try and give him some sort of support, but never mind. Nookie from the distance makes this so much easier for Quizzy, as all he has to do is find the Wanderer laying on the floor. Just cop for him on the back, see you later, and that is plan B down.
And they also managed to get all 4 up alive again. Oof, that is question mark removed from the game by Redline. Potentially also able to keep all 4 alive. Lukarux has smokes on him. Shots are coming in onto Ding. They're actually trying to the third party, but Redline looking to take control of the northeastern side of the circle. Let's see if the third party will come in from Ding. They don't have to. They want to. They want to make sure that the east is theirs. Red line. Liquid still here, lingering. Been a while, to be fair, holding this to 2, and there's another team that's moved into the compound. We said eventually Skade would have to get involved within this. They most certainly are doing clean, concise. They've got some idea that there is a team round with the flashbang. First one's there, the follow-up, the transfer. All 3 of them! Mexi! You dirty, dirty boy, that is disgusting. That is such a transfer. They should have been able to trade that, but Mixer's just too quick. Especially with the M4 as well. It's rare that you see that 80 taking on some shots onto Besto. Scar team is out. Skate is out as well. Mixi actually gets a quad kill on them. Nades are coming in from Redline. Ding is getting cleaned as well with some help from FaZe Clan. Redline 6 kills so far.
That's good. There's failings to be brought up there, Martin. You know, I'm not going to take it away from Mexi. They should have been able to just trade off on him. How in the world 3 players just went in 1 by 1 and didn't do a single scratch to him? Well, they did. They almost killed him, but still, needless to say, to take on all 4 players and get an ace out of it, it's going to be good. Lukarux, no idea where Fex is. That's instant confirmation on the knock. The rest of FaZe Clan will now try and get involved in the fight. Entropic is gone, 10th position for them. Gustav, has he spotted somebody? I certainly have heard those shots. I'll be able to look and see where this next target is going to be coming from. Jimbo, spotted. From one Finnish team to another, the pain will never stop. Liquid, unfortunately, we're down to 2. Mex is the last man standing, and he is up against it. Na'Vi will be in front of him. Ents will be down to the south. Na'Vi's actually sending it to the foothills of SMB, so they have to be very, very careful in all of this. Mutiny. Prime Center certainly on this circle. Confirmation finally comes through onto Jimbo. All the way at the north, VP still just holding it down.
Oh.
What in the... Good God!
It's a bombardment. That's insane.
That's how you kill Na'Vi, I suppose.
Yeah, you just clear it out, and Mexi gets a free pass into the northern side of the circle, most likely. 8 kills for Mexi himself, and 8 kills for Liquid total. That's an impressive feat so far for him.
Oh, we've seen some teams just removed from play in this matchup so far.
Yeah, Skate the first player right there should have gone deep, so you remove the kind of the aim from being so close. He was able to transfer so easily. Shots he continue to put on more damage onto the Finnish guys. And I know the Olympics is on right now, but that's looking like some 1v1 action right there. Smoke's coming out, smoke being deployed. He actually has the high ground to be able to play, because it's just barely in. And Enz is going to be taking on Blaze. Virtus Pro is going to be taking on Mutiny as well, so he could be playing it a bit low and slow. Potentially also get a few more kills.
There's a good dip off for him, which takes him out of vision of VP completely. So the survivability factor's there, but he's just walking into a Hornet's nest at the moment. It feels like he wants it. Doesn't get the knock this time to home.
Oh.
How's he even managed to knock that player?
Oh, bad.
He's just so good. Okay. With one of them down, there's problems now going towards the side of SMB. Bambaki will be the second one that falls. It looks like DA have got a full read on where SMB are. They can keep on punishing. They do. Huth will be the next one to fall victim. Jempty strikes and gets confirmation on the knock. Ents, by the way, have been lurking and lingering and trying to wrap around this fight all together. Apocalypse from first place down to 7th. Supermassive Blaze does not go any further. A little jump through the smoke will try and, at least the movement that he's got, it stopped him from dying and being out in the open while he's fallen, but I don't know if Rustamar has the abilities to go and get him up on his feet. There isn't really much cover for there, and going out in the open could be costly. Circle will be moving slowly as well, so you have to keep that in mind while you're trying to get the revive also. Face Clamp, let's not take anything away from it at the moment. They're in a 2-2 split. They've got a good proportion of this circle. If they can hold out red line and keep it clean with 4 players, they're looking good for this late game. Same can be said for DA, 4 players up. Mutiny, you now have to hold the line. This is the deciding factor of what you do towards the end game. You've been here for all this time, you've been chilling, but now you've got the #1 team currently in the lobby heading your way. If you can hold out VP, then you've got access to this final zone. If not, you're in trouble, because VP will not take any prisoners on their way across this hillside.
VP obviously being our most chicken dinner winners right now, with 3 wins on Miramar. And with just this game and the next one to go, it's looking hard for anyone to be able to contest that. Being able to bag himself additional $1,250. AIDS, he finds QB with a fantastic nade. More flashbangs being utilized here. Ooh, Ivis standing in a really good angle. Info coming in. Oh, Nail's gonna find 8C. Shots coming in. They have to go fast. Jax finds one more. Oh, it's gonna be really quick cleanup for them. Not sure. Oh yeah, they got the time for the circle as well. No, yeah, nades coming out. Gujara unfortunately dropped the nade when he got knocked himself. Virtus Pro moving in between FaZe Clan and Mutiny, and Digital Athletics there on the southern side with 4 guys alive, playing uphill in a really advantageous position as well. This could very much go their way. Let us see how this develops. 3 teams with 4 guys alive here, Rich, and Mutiny on 3.
Gustav has drawn the attention for all but a moment. Nades have been used, but Fuzzface has got hit from an alternate angle altogether, something he probably did not expect. And Seong has just been an absolute pain in the backside all the way down towards the south. He just has a perfect window to lay into the backlines here of FaZe, and he's cut the ranks in half. And they've got the circle. The hardest shift in the world is favorable to them, and now everybody has to come their way. For DA, if they really want to Martin, there's opportunity here to set up on the edge of the circle and gatekeep this thing completely. Lock all the players out, deny access, if anything, force players into one another, orchestrate this fight, and let them kick the living hell out of one another so they've got less players to deal with towards the late game. FaZe will try and trap VP. This will give Zhongs maybe a window of opportunity to reposition to a better angle. For Mutiny, you've got the blue against you. This is their biggest downfall at the moment. They're going to be flooded into a bottleneck to which DA will open fire once they arrive.
Yeah, this split from DA and how the terrain works for them is going to be super. Oh my god, Perfectix taking down 8C with that headshot from the mini. One more shots coming out as well, and that's actually FaZe Clan keyed out in 4th. Good consistency from them, and we've managed to stay 4 alive, but Mutiny coming in, putting on some pressure, and they have to take it out. Perfectus taking on U6 as well, and Leash and Granula going to be the last 2 players. If DA decides to come in and third part of this, if Pixel is going to find Granula, Leash is going to find Perfectus. This is a perfect timing for DA.
If you're DA, you're setting up to welcome VP with open arms, right? This is your time. There's a brief moment that you have that they're fixated in tunnel vision towards Mutiny because that's what they have to do at the end of the day. They have to deal with this problem. Once they've dealt with it, they've then got to deal with the final boss, which is DA. They control the circle. You cannot stall here. You have the circle on your back. There is no time for respite. There is no time for just sitting around. DA is getting prepared for you to turn your attention to them and work your way into this circle. For VP, this couldn't be a worse circle, honestly. It's completely barren. It's open. Perfectix just nigh on. Escapes with his life. Never mind. Vard, he's been throwing these things for years, causing Perfectix is down with no little health. A little bit of splash damage off the back of it will confirm the knock. And now they wait. Now they just let them get into the open. Hold for a second and let rip. Here we go, VP. Welcome to DA's house. This is their circle. This is their zone. Spyro, don't get me wrong, gives a little bit as good as he gets on the hillside, but ultimately this would have to be... Ooh, okay, that's interesting. Batulins with a belter of an 8 onto Pixel.
What? That has an angle.
Quieted them down for all but a moment, but look at Vard's angle. You called it perfectly, Martin. He's right behind them.
He's got a 3 helmet as well. This is going to be disgusting. Orc in hand. Flashbang as well. A stun grenade can be thrown. They've got them pinned. They're probably going to be able to pin to them as well with Jemty's position. I'll just wait for the opening. The 4x Orc for Vard. Back to Red Dot. Spot Spyro. Spyro probably also spotted him. More stun grenades are going to be deployed. Shong on the backline with the info. They got a really good reach on Shong though. Jemty has a 3 vest. With an M4 in hand and a 2x. Let's see if we can make something happen there. The 3v3 right now. They have no advantages whatsoever with the blue pushing them. And it's just down to them using utility. See if they can make an opening for themselves. And Vard with the angle. Jemty is just literally on the edge. Could open up on them and then Vard will just springboard onto them. They're pushing though. They got a lot of smokes. Utility being used completely correctly. And look at this Jemty. Sitting inside. Ooh, shots coming in. Oh, the tap of Batulins is going to turn.
That's insane. Batulins turns up. The Groza gets the job done onto Vard. It removes one of them. Spyro's down low as well. Jemty's chasing this, but he's tagged up with the Molly. He's burning at the side. Spyro's there. Oh my word. This has turned head on heels completely for Digital Athletics. For some unknown reason, the smokes, they've worked their way down. They've got behind them. They forced their way through enemy lines, and VP is destroying DA. DA had all the time in the world to hold them. But that shot, that one clean shot onto Vard from Batulin's shade, just changed the entire landscape. VP should not have won that. They should not have won that. But by hook or by crook, somehow, they push through, they fight through. The Groza turn from Batulins was just insane, Martin. To remove Vard from the position that he's in, you said he had the weapon, he had the helmet, he had the gear, he had all the abilities in the world. But all of a sudden, that one final shot from Batulins puts the nail in the coffin and just breaks every little bit of setup they had going for them.
Yeah, the basically 90-degree plus flick onto Vard was just insane with the Groza as well. It'll just shred him apart, so... Yeah, I don't know what to say from this one here. This, I expected this to be completely closed off for the Digital. They must be kicking themselves. Versus Pro with another Miramar win. They're going to be on 4 wins for Miramar, definitely closing that one out. Nobody else is going to be able to reach them, and that's going to be 3 wins for them so far here, Sims. It's you know, it's looking very likely for them to be able to close this one out early on.
Yeah, this now starts to get a hell of a lot more difficult for teams that were chasing VP at the top spot. With 2 wins as a buffer, things start to become, it becomes numbers now. You know, if other teams that haven't won a match yet start to win, it takes chances and opportunities away from QM, it takes chances and opportunities away from DA. But yeah, there's a few things to make note of. One, congrats to VP. They're just once again showing why they're the kings of Miramar and maybe even just the kings of this format altogether. But DA, a valiant effort. Once again, these 2 teams, what's that now? I think that's 6, 7, 8, something like 6 games out of 8 they've been towards the top 2, the top 3 simultaneously fighting one another. Ultimately, 2 teams who wanted at the end game, 2 teams who got it. A fantastic battle, but for now we're going to take a short break. When we come back, bring James back and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
If the UK would have a PUBG map, that would be Erangel, the forests, the landscape.
The Netherlands? I guess also Erangel.
My name is Luke, people call me T-Bone. I grew up in Essex, in a town called Fundersley.
I am Jord, known as Ibiza. I come from a little city in the Netherlands called Hendrikido Ambacht. I lived in Berlin for 1 year, but returned home to Arnhem.
I grew up seeing my dad playing classic games like Command and Conquer and some others. From there, I played non-stop all kinds of different games.
I always liked playing games, but I started taking them seriously at a later age.
At first, I didn't want to play PUBG, but there was a friend called Fausto that bugged me nearly every single day. Come play, he said.
I didn't enjoy school very much, and I had no idea what I wanted to do after, so I started playing.
And I finally gave in. I started playing PUBG every day. I was totally hooked.
They're doing very, very well.
Oh, he's done it again. We saw it last week.
Right after that, Team Liquid invited me to play for them.
And after playing for a few teams, I ended up playing for Heroic. If you're with your friends, it can be so much fun. You can do all sorts of silly things and have a good laugh.
Our team is pretty international. I speak English 24/7. Each team member is from a different country. Denmark, Finland, Norway, and the US.
All those places are great in esports. I have a personal goal to help make the UK good at esports again.
Dutch people are very direct. We care a lot about communication.
UK people like to banter, but when the banter goes too far, toxicity. This ruins people's teams. It is something I really try to avoid. I think that a good environment based on respect is always best.
It is important to have a good routine. I like to have breakfast every morning, go to the gym, and try to have 8 hours of sleep.
Drink a cup of tea. If I drink tea, I'm okay.
Treating your teammates with respect is also very important. To be a good team environment is essential. Focus on the moment. Esports is constantly changing, so I try not to think about the future too much right now. I'm having a great time playing PUBG with my friends.
Ever since I started in this game, I wanted to be in this big international event.
It's time for us to win something big. We are working hard to win the upcoming PCS or ESL tournaments.
Tea time.
Smoke bomb.
Liquid seals the deal.
What's that? Wait, I'm getting right the checkout right now. Oh, well, okay. Virtus Pro. Jeez, the bloody wheeze. How do they keep being this consistent game after game after game? Not to mention Digital Athletics as well. It has been a ridiculous weekend for these two teams, but Virtus Pro has almost assured themselves victory here at the tournament so far, unless miracles can happen in the next couple of games. Avenger, Sims joining me. Avenger, I mean, what do you say about Virtus Pro? They're just nuts.
Yeah, that's it's disgusting how consistently they're able to put themselves in. This was not their game to win. It wasn't. It was Digital Athletics all the way, especially with the pressure coming out as well. But they managed to get all four back up, and I saw Pixel with some peaks, but Spire turned them. He put him down to 1 or 2 HP, and losing that position and then not being able to get that extra knock, that didn't lose them the game totally, but that opened the game up for Virtus Pro for a potential more equal fight. Backs to the blue, smoke's being deployed perfectly, and they're able to spread out and open up, and they kind of countered the position that Bot had with the kind of anchor position that he was able to play, it opened them up to get into a completely different position, and you know, they won the game from that smoke plate.
Just ridiculous. I mean, you guys said it during the cast, Rich, that this wasn't really their game to win. It was all DA's game to win, and DA let it slip through their fingers here whilst we take a look at the highlights.
Yeah, I suppose there's some elements when you're kind of looking at it. The whole terrain that you're playing with, it's limited, right? You can't just fully commit to the edge of that circle behind rocks, behind hard cover, and hold them, as we've seen other, like, there's so many times we see a circle and it's like, okay, we have control of it, we'll push into them now, line up and just basically get ready to musket them on arrival. You can't necessarily do that with that type of circle, but they did have the upper hand in the fact that it was VP that had to make all the move. It was VP that had to do the rotate to get behind them, that had to get in the circle.
Yeah.
So they had that element with them. The game changer, no question whatsoever, the absolute game changer, that kill from Batulins. The knock with the Groza to remove Vard from an advantageous position, looking down upon them with level 3 gear, with a crate gun. You know, he's got all the tools to completely ruin their day and send this thing home. But Batulins turns up with a big gun of his own and just says, nope, denied, not today, not happening.
Absolutely. Taking a look at some of these final moments as well. And yeah, we saw Navi get absolutely pummeled into the ground. FaZe, we're in an okay spot, but then, of course, Digital Athletics, Zhong was able to open up onto them thanks to a big, cheeky angle. And actually, coming back to VP a moment here, Martin, I think it rings true what, you know, we were talking about Batulins in the interview yesterday. He was talking about how conservative they are with their utility right now. And if you can save as much as possible for this later game, it's going to pay dividends. And it shows here, once again, with the amount of smokes that they had to make these transitions.
Yeah, that, you know, utility game is extremely important. And also, I think that's one of the things that they're being very aware of, very coherent of, that nade as well, opening up. You know, overall, just being able to have that amount of utility towards late game where all the other guys, they're basically using the utility to clear out, to open up positions for themselves, and to confirm kills and stuff like that. That just basically enabled them. And also they fought, and they were past probably 10 crates of bodies as well. They're able to have the complete pick of the litter here. They can do whatever they want. They can make sure they get exactly the setup that they want for the late game, and being aware of how the terrain is as well. They knew that they were going to need a little bit of smokes, but having 1 or 2 grenades, maybe a Molotov, is going to be a huge difference. Also stun grenades, of course. And when you know there's only 5, 6, 7 opponents left, you don't need 200 bullets anymore. You can go down to, you know, 80 spare bullets.
Yeah, you can. So really impressive stuff. Virtus Pro here, really on the victory path. The Digital Athletics trying to catch on up despite all these podium finishes for them. And you know what, Rich? You know what? Let's look back. Let's reminisce into the dream state. And let's watch, once again, as Mexi does Mexi things.
Yeah, so this, like, that, he even does the correct thing. Anonymous goes in deep the first push, right? You want to be able to take off the aim from Mixi as far left to the possible.
Kind of for the window.
Yeah. You want to be able to get him so deep that his aim is not going to be able to transfer onto the guys. But they were just not prepared, and we're not fast enough to do that. So he got a total of 3 kills in that. It's so rare you're able to see a 1v3 in that situation. Also closing out for the quad kill, Mixi, I think, did he end up on what? 8 or 9 kills in that game?
I think
it was just insane.
Yeah, I think he certainly got 8. I don't know about the 9th one. It was on to rip 9, I think, when he got the knock. But they knew they were there because they threw a flashbang in previously when they were approaching. I thought, okay, well, that's how they're going to clear it. Then they're going to flashbang clear it off the back of the wall and go for it. But yeah, like we said in there, there's probably mistakes made on their side for running in 3 players just one after the other, you know, rather than running together and being able to trade it back a bit. But still, how he lines up those shots, how he prepares for the third guy to set up for it, it's ridiculous. And honestly, we love to see those things. I mean, to be fair, it was full of all kinds of big kills, that game.
Yeah, I'm trying my very best during this entire tournament to just catch as many of these individual moments as possible, and we've caught so many of them. This tournament has been absolutely littered with them, so it's great to watch, really great to watch. But what is also great to watch is the fact that Virtus.pro has dominated this lobby so far. Digital Athletics is clawing at their heels, and as we just watched here, Martin, Team Liquid might not have got themselves chicken dinner yet. Likewise, FaZe might not have just yet. But look how many kills that they're pumping into this lobby at the moment.
Yeah, and just one kill will put them in the top 3 immediately.
Yeah.
One thing that is interesting though, like both the DA and Virtus.pro on 57 kill. Obviously, if DA won that game, they would have had more. But it's extremely close, and right now the teams that are pumping on the frags, you can really see the impact on the rest of the lobby. They're shredding other teams' hopes and dreams just apart. Being able to frag out some of the kills we've seen from both Clip, Fax, Mexa here. They're just taking whole teams and their dreams, just literally tearing them up and throwing them into the bin. It's actually crazy to see.
Yeah, and I just realized I was about to be like, oh no, we're going to enter Erigel. No, we've still got another Miramar, right? So I'm getting ahead of myself. We still do have 4 games here. Of course, there's Virtus.pro sits very heavily at the top, but for someone to have to catch up now, Rich, I think a lot of us are probably looking at maybe DA here to be the ones to really have that big effort to try and catch up because of how constantly they are in the late game, every single game.
We'd have to assume so. It wouldn't be unfair to not say that. The issue is, and I kind of alluded to it, is if we start to get a couple of, if the next, I haven't done the maths here, 2-3 games, if they're all different winners of anyone who's not won them yet, then it becomes mathematically, there is a point mathematically where VP have won this. It's as simple as that. Hell, maybe even, well, yeah, and it will be, because there'll only be 3 left. Someone could potentially draw them. If they win another one on this one, then someone could, there's loads of equations going on. I'm going to try and do it live on air, but yeah, there's that point where if other teams now begin to put wins on the board, VP have got it. Like for those, they just have to deny, as you say, someone like, DA, if they can go after them, if there's ways for them to remove them from play, it makes their lives so much easier. If they find QM towards the later stages, all right, stuff it, we'll go for question mark rather than going for the win. They can change their game if they want to. They're not a team that does, so I don't anticipate it.
Exactly, yeah.
But there is a different game they can play if they choose to.
Yeah, I think that's... you ended that with absolutely the right thing, I think, right? Virtus.pro, they could change, but what is even the reason to, considering how far they're getting into these games anyway, given the strategy that they have at hand? But that's the ridiculous part about it. We're just a minute out here, Martin, from our game, coming into our last Miramar. Obviously, we have hit on VP and DA to death now, considering how strong they are.
Let's talk about someone else.
Yeah. Who would you like to talk about?
I would like to talk about question mark still being a factor from the poker classic term inside gut shot. One win from them, they would be second, and they would take it away from VP, considering VP only had a 4th place in our week number 1. They would actually have a total of prize winnings, more actually taking home the whole thing. So that's definitely still a possibility. So VP, they can do all they want. They can win 2 more games. Question mark wins 1 more, puts themselves as the only team on 2 wins, no matter the amount of frags that they have. They will lock down 2nd place with their 5,000 winnings from last week and the 4,500 for week number 2. They will be able to close it out and actually take the whole thing home. So that's a really interesting point as well. Obviously, also you would expect some of the teams that have been doing really well, putting themselves into late games continuously, to maybe win a game as well. So Liquid, FaZe stand still up for win, and I'm expecting them to take one home as well in the next 4 games.
All right, let's get into it then. Final Miramar of the day, Martin and Rich. Bring them.
Thank you so much, James. We will try. This is it, the final match of Miramar for this competition. The question is, do we see a different winner, or do we just see the general old things of VP doing it? And they've already got it once on the board, and DA is not too far, so we're constantly seeing this battle, and it does feel like we are repeating these names over and over again, but it's for good reason. It's not favoritism by any means. It's because they're the ones that are making such a massive impact on this map in particular, constantly at each other's throats, constantly in the late game. But there's 14 other teams we need to also look at, Martin. Who in particular do you think... You know what? Let's wait until we see the first circle, and then we can look at potential team. Are there any other real outliers you would say for Miramar who you saw in the past? Okay, Miramar's really where their strengths lie.
Not to the same degree that we've seen Virtus.pro be able to perform right now. Like It's hard to say that. Considering the amount of performance that we've had from VP, it's just undeniable that they are currently the kings of Miramar. 4 wins so far, taking home that prize as well. Western Circle for this one here is going to be super interesting. Potentially, Faceland setting themselves up really nicely, but the El Paso kind of endings has been really rough in general. That they're super hard to predict and very hard to play for late game as well. But yeah, it's not so much that I want to point out and say this is their map. Miramar's just they're so much better here because it swings so much from tournament to tournament that one tournament they can have a really good Erangel performance just by winning 1 or 2 Erangels because they haven't won any on Miramar. So it's hard to say when we have this low sample size, I feel like. And if you ask the teams, like obviously it will also be based on current performance. If they just won a game, the momentum, the confidence usually come from the same map. But yeah, most of all kills so far as well here, Rich. 127 kills for Virtus Pro. They will take another prize home, $2,500 on top of whatever they're going to be winning. So they're literally raking in all those chips.
Yeah, it's not a bad going, is it? Because all they're doing is, well, they're just doing the job for her. They're just fragging out and winning events for her. So to be given free cash on the side, there's going to be no complaints. And I kind of like that. These alternate little differences and nuances you can bring into this one. Someone like Supermassive Blaze, who, if they don't win this competition, for example, they're getting some free cash because of the performance that they did put up on their win. You know, if they got the most frags during a chicken dinner effect. So all these other little bits and bats and nuances that we see from this competition, there is money to be picked up, free cash, just for playing your game, just for doing your job, just for doing well while doing so in this competition. It's nice, it's good, and we'll keep topping up with those, and we'll keep checking in with them. For now, let's talk about the circle. We'll bring the map up and kind of go into it a little bit more, because we have gone all the way to the west. I am looking at El Pozo. I am looking at the western cliff face. I'm looking at, you know, a good 10 to 15% of this map that isn't in play. And most importantly, Martin, there's quite a lot of dead terrain around El Pozo that's going to be unplayable, and certainly where the circle's not going to be heading towards.
Yeah, the factor, the fourth zone factor in the El Paso endings in general and Montenegro endings is massive. And that's where your IGL and your macro and your game knowledge really comes into play. And that's where, especially in these kind of circles, is where your late game decisions is potentially going to be able to put you in a spot where you could have a hard shift going towards you, or, excuse me, another spot where you could be able to, you know, play late from and then open yourself up to another rotation that you can open a late game up for. But yeah, for sure, in a situation like this, I like to see some of the teams that are going in from an angle for holding just a high ground position on an edge to get the info, and then once circle 2 and 3 pops, they're going to be making a macro move that will put them into a really, really good spot. So that's usually what we see. Faceland in this kind of home turf circle, we usually see one player, sometimes it's AC, sometimes it's Fakes, to play up on the top of the kind of oil processing unit on top of Montenegro to get all the info. And the other guys, they play some really split, usually a 1-1 or 1-1-1 or a 1-2. Ooh, shots coming in here. Yeah, gonna find 2. Mexi's gonna find here though, and Flush as well immediately. Let's see if Band B decides to commit. They are committing. Wanderer coming in as well. Archie going for it. Finds Mexi. He finds Archie as well. Shots continuously coming in. Nades are coming in to confirm it. Ooh, shots coming in around. Evie's gonna find Wanderer. Nades confirmed. Shots coming in. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is a fest.
Oh, it's a mess. It's an absolute cluster. He'll be the last man standing. The smokes will continue to pour, and for Hello My Bad, same principle for him. Just get stuck in and see what kind of damage you can do. He'll be caught just shooting through the smoke, getting a bit bloodthirsty towards the ladder person. Gets caught. Team Liquid, they'll go down in 16th. That is the end of Miramar for them. They now have only 3 more games in front of them. 3 matches of Erangel to try and stand up and take on VP. But they would need to win all 3 of them, and VP cannot win this. This is now game on. This is now a numbers game. It's as simple as that. If we get a different number, if we get a different winner that comes into the fold of this game, everything starts to slowly but surely being ripped away from every other single team. But I want to touch on something you mentioned very early on this show. There are still PGC points to be had. It's not all about first. Well, it is all about first for these players, but placement is still vitally important. Playing for that second, that third place, getting as much out of this as humanly possible is still vital. So from every other player and every other team, and even if you don't have a single win, if second down to 6th, 7th is only on 1 win, you can quite easily snatch second place away from anybody, but you need to have the frags also matching that.
Yeah, for sure. That's the whole thing, right? If everyone ties on 1 win, then frags will be the factor of the tie, and that's where it's really going to be decided. And it's very likely we're going to see, some ties coming up for the PGC points, and it's going to matter in the end. And that's why it's extremely important both to focus on your frags levels. Obviously, if you're able to close out a win in the 12 games that we have each weekend, you're going to be putting yourself into a fantastic situation. Bambaki, though, he is contested right now with backup coming in from Entropic. 3 players. Not one of the prio spots, I would say. It has to be 3-4 hard shifts going east before it's going to be ending over here. So they just won this for the info. Scouting. Apocalypse going to find a Wanderer.
Never ends, does it, for them? Poor buggers. They've already dealt with 1 fight. Now they've got to deal instantly with another. Plan B. Bit of a rough start, down to 1 solo player now. Bambaki answers back onto Reggie Beardo, but Novik's there. Responds in kind. Rip9, Car98. Can you take Novik's face off? This would slow them down for all but a moment. Jumps down. Teammates towards the back line working their way into this, so they will go for the resuscitation, and it looks like with the loss of the player, SMB will just say, totally fine. We'll get away from this. We'll disconnect. I'm okay with it. Don't throw any more bodies. You're not all together just yet. There's no way to 100% certainly say you're going to transfer and trade off on those players. So just fall back, have another crack at it at a later stage. Everyone slowly but surely magnetizing towards FaZe Clan's position. And I say FaZe's position because they are central at the moment. They have a 2-2 split going just on the road. That runs pretty much parallel to El Pozo. Works its way down into Monte Nuevo, and it's for good understandings as well. When you're looking at El Pozo, there's a couple of potential endings in and around this road. We could go hard shifting down towards the south. We could have that hillside, which we have casted many a times through this competition and many a times this year, to be fair. So double hard shift south, while not favourable, it's not out of the realms of possibility by any means. Power grid, the backside of it, certainly still in play. Again, you're looking for the same principle as down south. It's going to be a double hard shift all the way to the east and pull us, get to the east, pull us out there and get us involved. El Pozo itself, fields, top side of Monte Nuevo, and that's why you've got 3 teams in Plan B, or what's left of Plan B. Navi, VP knocking on each other's door, Ensign slowly but surely working its way into there. And you got a bit of a few scrappy fights that will also unfold. Skade, DA, question mark. They're up by Trailer Park. It's going to be a bit messy. It's going to be a bit scrappy. But if we get a northern shift towards the next circle that pops in, that becomes a little bit more viable. And those scrappy, messy fights, it could be a land grab.
Yeah, next circle is going to be popping slowly, and that's where a lot of decisions will be made off. Big macros coming in still from Ding. Redline is... Nado's actually thinking that he's going to get crashed. He's in a pretty decent spot. Next circle's going to pop. He's going to send there. Oh, this is a really, really interesting and hard to predict circle. Some teams are going to be staying in the split. Slight chance for an El Pozo. If next one goes north, it's going to be an El Pozo urban ending. I love those. I would actually like to pray for those. But look at how congested it is in the south side here. Nilo is going to find Pesto and be flushed as well. And Redline now has to decide and repurpose what they want to be doing with this compound that they have. Navi in a rotation as well towards the twins. Example has an idea that there might be a player here. Scrambling through those shots coming in. Eights in hand on both Owner and Pendelost could be throwing him there, but yeah, okay, he's got the idea. He's going to be disengaging from the fight. He's looking at the rock. Is Patton up there? No, he's not. Mayo, he is. He is. Actually chilling. He's got a 2-seater.
He's a pain in the backside, but you know what? Whatever works for VP. They got themselves a drop coming in. It's just outside of the safety net, the safety catchment of their compound. So we'd anticipate that Na'Vi keeps a very watchful eye over that, and if VP makes some sort of approach, maybe there's a trade-off. It's risk-reward again, but we shall see. ENCE is working its way around. It's gone to the rock faces of where Batulans is setting up shop, and if you are ENCE and you understand how VP works, not even how VP works, excuse me, how all these teams work, that rock face will be somewhere that someone can keep overwatch, full overwatch of what's going on. He's actually a lot higher than them, and he is laying down, not showing face just yet, so this is probably due to the fact that he does have people knocking on the door just downstairs. Very aware of his surroundings as Batulans, and he's a wonderful mind. He's a very, very smart player, and that only goes hand in hand, which is a dangerous combination, really, hand in hand by his individual skill. You saw it from the last one, turning on a dime and just smashing Vad in the face with the Groza. It's a deadly combination, and this is a VP at his full roster and at his prime. I'm excited as a European quote unquote. I'm excited to see what this team can do on a world stage, but we still have a lot of teams that are yet to really show their full potential, I want to say. This format doesn't give us the full vision, and I never want to discredit teams like FaZe, like Liquid, like DA's firing all cylinders. Redline, this year has been their year, and I know they've not been up there at the top of the top, the cream of the crop, but certainly they have just been going from strength to strength. And we touched on the topic, I think, last week, Martin, how I think overall, Europe as a whole, not just individual teams, but as a whole, the entire ecosystem is just elevated.
Yeah, for sure. It's really good to see through, tough times for many, and in general that they're able to strive and do well, and also commit to putting some more hours together. Heard from the Redline interview, obviously, that these guys have just leveled up their play, and you can see how much potential that they've unleashed as well. So far, though, from them, we need to see a little bit more if they're able to. If they're going to be able to clutch out a bit more points that they want to, of course. Currently, Redline is fifth, I believe, with $500 won in week number 1. Next circle is going to pop here, and this is a really, really hard circle to play in general. Next circle can be a little bit random. VP is deciding to go into pots. So yeah, they will commit. No, they saw a car, so they're disengaging. Batulin still with the info on the top. They actually got a kill as well, of course. And they're going to be playing inside the next circle, waiting to see what happens. And I think this is basically off that. No matter where the next circle goes, they kind of have an exit plan, an exit strategy. With Batulin playing for info. This is just disgusting. That position right there. Classic Batulin circle. Fire pop one more time up. Squeaky. He's like, oh no, guys. Shots coming in. He's gonna be completely dead and done for. Oh, that's not.
I thought I heard it. I thought I heard it like a couple of seconds ago. Firing a couple of shots off, ringing its big beautiful song. But no, you said he's gonna be dead, and bang. The green gun puts the nail in the coffin. That's a scary prospect, VP, with a crate and that machine. Full field. Supermassive Blaze. Next one to try their hand at it. Starting to get rather hot in there, so you've got to be careful where you're going to be setting up shop. And you about backup plans, having an exit plan, having more than just one. Oh, nobody's dead. Never mind. Small potentially could have got around the corner, but it doesn't happen this time. Navi. It's interesting, isn't it? Because Circle should, in theory, you're in the middle of the pack there. You're either in El Pozo at the moment or you're down towards the south. You kind of on this roadside in this weird-esque area, so you're in a position, quote-unquote, to receive at least the circle, I want to say, as it comes in, unless it's a ridiculous, absolute ridiculous Western. Feel like it's going to come through. So for Na'Vi, they've got a nice little position. They can keep Overwatch. There's no one in the field, so it's really looking towards El Pozo, really looking forward to down south. See who wants to catch people on transition. But again, no one can really get them without challenging them. So if you want to take Navi out of place now, you have to push them, and no one's going to be doing that in the barren landscape. That's it's yeah, for us, it's a matter of kind of just waiting and see. Really, there's nothing else to say about it. The circle will force the hand of these players.
It should go north. We were expecting a little bit of an northern shift here, but it can be a little bit wild and wonky with the area that it's in. Navi is in a really good spot, I would say. Like, it's kind of, no matter if it goes north or south, it's going to be good for them. Very likely to see it has to go in like another further northern shift, but it's very likely a urban-esque ending for this one. Now he's committing to take one of the really, of course, so Fate is actually leaving one of the spot shots coming in, connecting on Supriel. It's red line on the outskirts, and his team members are not. He's got 4 and 8, so we could put on some pressure onto Ding. Lukaruk's coming for the backup, for the confirmed QE. Disgusting. Mutiny sending it in close. And going towards Ska as well. They're actually not gonna be going all the way to town here. That would be kind of scary. Fex find Kujara. That is one player out. Yeah, they will be stopping. Yeah, it's a good decision for them. Stopping for the info. A little bit of a dip here. And they can definitely play that. Lou's going to find Apocalypse. Novic's down to Unir to confirm as well. Digger is going to find Ganula. Proxa's going to steal Gujara from Fix. And let's see how far they can survive this one. It's got a bit of curvature. So play it out. I really like Scout spot. They can hold on to this, and in case it goes south, they can play this really well. Gustav finds Corexi, confirms as well. Another point. Okay. Let's see what the southeastern side has to offer us here. Shots coming in, Thunderlust getting, yeah, it's getting banged out. By 8C, only dead as well from Hawkey. And Anthropic, they are on to reposition. They have a smoke deployed there, and Faceland wants the southeastern side to themselves. That's gonna be vital for them no matter what. And I'm just here crossing my fingers and toes for a absolute urban ending. I actually love fighting in the puzzle. Some people hate it, but I kind of like the layout and how you can work through, because it's so big, you can kind of work through and work your way through. It's extremely hard to play, but there's a lot of good angles, and if you play it right, you might yourself up for a win. Now he has taken this southern gym, the red brick building there, and that's really, really good position. If this next circle goes outside, there could be a gatekeeper with other teams trying to get outside city. But yeah, 30 seconds to go, and we'll know if it's an urban ending. And I know you are too, crossing your fingers, my friend.
I love a bit of urban chaos when we go towards these city fights. And briefly mentioned it. There aren't too many places like this. Los Leones is one that kind of reminds me of this as well. When we look towards other towns and cities, they're quite close quarters. That neighborhood fights and scraps. With this one, it's the verticality of this town, because you've got the high rises, because you've got the buildings, because you've got bricks, because you've got the towers. There's the verticality on it provides us a different element, and then you've got these leading into it. You've got the small ridge lines, the cliff faces that players can move off the back of. They can work with it. There's some ooh, hold on. First contact has been made. That's one of the ends players going down. Tixu caught in the crossfire. Dante spots him. I saw a headshot coming through on the map overview. Spyro's also been eliminated. Tickled away in the vehicle explosion. With confirmation on the kill. Apocalypse. Down back, but not out just yet. But Tulin's working his way off the back. Of the apps for now. The rest of BP will pull up on the oil cylinders. 3'd up, ready to rock and roll. Oh, another one will fall, another victim, another team just falling at the hands of QM. This is the second one they've gone toe-to-toe with. Tixu again, that'll be the second knock. So the revive will have come through. Means his players are in close proximities to try and get him back on his feet again, but it's Fate who's inside that building and holding them back. They can't do anything off the back foot from it. Scar, let it be known, is holding Face Clan. Ding is working the way down there as whoa. No, there's nothing you can do. You just got to look at it and say, well, I'm going down. See you later, boys. They do pull up. They're just behind Scar. This removes a little bit of pressure from Face Clan. Unless they're just running from it, he is backing the hell out. He's like, no. Doesn't get away with it. Round, but for every single player that Scar send towards this fight to try and remove Ding, they lose ground, they lose control, they lose coverage on FaZe, who is slowly but surely constricting around them. FaZe want to remove this team from play. They need time to be able to get into Poto, to be able to get into a position where they can accept the oncomers and the players that are already set up within this city. This has to be as clean as humanly possible, and with one down and Ding still lingering in I'd see needs a res, and Ding is lurking.
Oh, stolen. Stolen's going to find that one. Clocks are still in a off-angle position, and see if manages to get HC up without too much pressure from Ding. Ooh, fast space. Spotted by Priel here. Sail putting on more pressure. Obviously, in the background goes down to Native. Native's been putting out a lot of damage. Pressure for that one for sure. And this is going to be a really interesting urban fight. EA has a lot of control on the western side, but there's a lot of other teams in front of them. Hawkey finds Petulins, but it's on the east. Hawkey is going to go down to Perfectix himself, but they lost Petulins. Jack, and if they can open this up and actually take control of these, they could put themselves into a little bit of late game, but Navi is still in front of them with 4 guys alive. Skate is pushing in onto the boxing arena. Apocalypse sitting in there. Blaze is going to be taking a fight. We're going to have a northern shift for this one here, so it's actually going to be full urban. Could be street somewhere, but still, it's going to be a lot of big areas inside and in play.
It's a bit of an unfortunate death from Betulins. It's an angle really where he shouldn't have been going down, or at least should have been able to get covered by doing so. They are committing a lot of time and a hell of a utility to remove this one player from the cabin. Finally, the molly's in, and that should send it. But there's a nade coming back his way. He has to avoid it, which he does. Entropic down, but it's not without its own punishing part to play. Losing your IGL. The team capped him. Losing a player, to be fair, at this stage in the game is going to be devastating for VP as they try and seal this competition with a kiss, because if they win this, that's it. No one else can defeat them. They're taking this home. No one can win this one through unless I think there might be some weird and wonderful potential where Question Mark can get second potentially and play off the back of it, but certainly in terms of wins. No, they can't. No, there's not enough wins to actually pick it. No, excuse me. There is. I'm getting ahead of myself. There is a weird and wonderful way that they can, but certainly for this part and today, nobody would be able to top them this weekend. So on the, it's a lot of numbers in my brain. I apologize if I got that one wrong, but still. Big opportunity for VP to steal this one. Gustav and Fex simultaneously going after Ding. That's another big scout to remove. It gives FaZe a little bit more breathing room to play with. And they're going to be, at the end of it, this is so rough, so cruel. The building that Navi is holding is essentially just a complete border patrol. It's a turret towards the side of FaZe Clan.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to play anywhere, because also it's two levels that you can play on inside. So even if they try to play on some of the kind of higher spots, you could potentially play on the road, but Redline also has a really good off angle for that one. They will be advancing towards the cars that we see on fire right now. And also some of the high ground. Stories, 3 stories inside town, can also kind of third party and counter those positions. Lukarooks, we'll see if he can get further in. Shots are coming towards VP from FaZe Clan. FaZe is inside right now, so they're going to be waiting to see if they get a bit of love from the Circle Gods. With a few smokes from FaZe, if thrown far enough, they could smoke off some of the windows and always that they're holding currently from Navi's side. And then we will also see some other guys coming in from the town pushing into that. Gustav's gonna find Ivers with pressure. Coming in from Redline, that's one of the teams that they need to be removed if they wanted to play that open spot that Redline currently is in. But look at this angle. Seeing Question Mark right now. Oh, they actually did get a bit of love. It's going to very likely be ending west of Hawi in an open kind of area. And this means that 3, 4, 5 teams has to move. We're going to see a fight. Phosphate is going to take down effects. We're going to see a fight that's actually versus Drought. Fight between Question Mark and Diltalytics here, Sims.
Yeah, this one's big. See boys at the top of the board at the moment, the ones that are looking for the wins to try and challenge VP spot Dante. Look at that angle on the door, faultlessly. On the back of it as well. Yeah, the nades have been pinned, and we're assuming this is an absolute ton of flashbangs. They've not advanced forward under the cover of the flashbangs, so if there was anyone ever waiting, I'm assuming, because that was out in the open, that Question Mark did actually put the away, so they're trying to bait this one. They're trying to go from a different angle altogether. This is complete bait. It's caught them slightly off guard. It's managed to allow them to get around here by Sion. Text on 2, faultlessly in a doozy. Taken down single-handedly. Now they can rush in through the garage. Worm's there to try and stop the advancement, but it's done its job by committing so much time towards the doorway. It drew the attention as if the push was coming through.
Good flash.
They then put the gas canister down, and under the explosion of the gas canister, they run the back. That is super proactive and super intuitive. They've managed to work the worm they were way in and remove 2 players while doing so. FaZe Clan now the next target on Redline's back. They are well and truly out in the open. So many teams will be able to see into them. Both FaZe is going for the height advantage, but ultimately I think Redline, they could just wait them out essentially. I know they're not too far into it. Wait a minute, never mind. They're going to go for the throw. They want to go for a second team altogether. They've lost 2 players while doing so. I don't know know if this was the right play to send it outside of El Pozo. DA, I really don't know what this was. I can't work it out.
More drive-bys coming in as well. Face and committing to it. Strong last player from BA. Shot hit onto QB. QB ducking and weaving. He's going to push it. Strong. Right there. Oh, QB's going to find another one. That's actually extremely well played.
I don't know.
Crossface tried to commit for the third-party drive-by. Didn't get much out of it. We'll see how far Redline manages to take this. Oh, the peak. Caleb's been spotted. Needs to put out some damage. Fade has been taken out by Mies with a nade, though. Now the circle has shifted south. Faceland is in a decent position to advance further into this late game. 17 players live, 6 teams. Oh, he spotted him. He will continue. Oh, shot coming in, connecting. Not taking him down. Just yet. Not coming from QB. QB being a major factor into this fight. We're finding another one. Now it's down to 1v1. Oh, the third party from Rostenmar is going to take him down. And Nalo and QB might be able to turn this around and maybe even play on the south side. While the other teams, they try to get into the circle. Navi, 4 guys alive, taking on Skate right now. So Champ's going to find Anonymous. More shots coming in from Sakura. Dr. Solanese is taken down as well. Now we're just disassembling these players right now. And Skate is down to just Nuki.
Decapitated as they wanted through. Oh, the courtyard push. It was a valiant attempt. The smokes were down, but ultimately it's King to the castle. Navi on top of the moat, and every other team is looking to try and find a way into this. Fade down the corner, cause all kinds of grief for ends. What's left of them takes to. With the shot going, we'll get the second bang off. Looking for more. Who else is lurking around? They're going to oh no! Nuki, where did you come from? They do manage to trade up. There's no way! There's no way he's getting away with his life. He absolutely is going to go for the molly onto the carrot. He backs up, but he's damaged enough in order to get the kill. Never mind QB's there. Red line. The final player. This has just been chaos. This has been an urban ending that we love to see. And Navi has completely mopped this one up with the castle that they've held. Everyone had to transfer through and make it past the moat, but the Sharks got them every single time. QB, the last man standing, with a 4-man stack going strong. Navi win the match.
That was such a good game from